most everybody today would agree and can see that the things that are going on planet Earth in the world today are highly unusual, and these are things that have never taken place before. The world is in a place and in a time that has never existed before. Most people can see that, or they can see at least that it's headed that direction, but they don't know why. They don't know why, nor do they know how it's all going to end, right? They don't know why. They don't know that all of the things that are taking place on planet Earth are because there's an elite group of people in control, and they don't know who that group of people are. They don't know who that group of people is, I should say. They don't know that either, right? But there's an elite group of people in control of the planet Earth today, in control of the world today, and that control has been given to them pursuant to Job 9:24 and Daniel 4:17, right? And that power has been given to them, that control has been given to them. And the reason for all of the things that are taking place on planet Earth today, right now, which are highly unusual, very, very significant. I'm losing the word here, but none of this is happenstance. None of this is just occurring on its own, an unfortunate occurrence of events. None of it's that. It's all intentional. It's all being done deliberately. All right, and the reason why is because it's those that have the control over the planet, which has been given to them. Again, those two precepts, Job 9:24, Daniel 4:17. What they are doing is they are leveraging the control that has been given to them. They are leveraging that control to funnel and direct everyone on planet Earth into one destination, which you can liken unto a slaughterhouse. Okay, like you have cattle, which they do refer to the people of the world as sheeple. They refer to the people of the world as goyim, which is really going into cattle. Okay, which goes into the shoulder pops. Okay, but you would use the word that starts with a V. And that word that starts with a V directly, the meaning of that word directly goes into, doing that to actual cattle. But yet and still, when they do that to you, they use the same word, telling you something, right? So just like they have a slaughterhouse, what do you call it? A funnel or a chute or something where all the cattle got to go, and the closer they get, the narrower it gets, and there's no way to go but there. That's what's being done to this world right now. And that slaughterhouse, that destination where those that have control over the world, those that are in power and control over the world, that's been given to them, okay? That slaughterhouse, that destination where they're funneling everybody on planet Earth into, is what you will find on the back of your dollar bill in their language, okay? Which is Novus Ordo Seclorum. Okay, Novus being Latin, because that is their language, okay? And their secondary language is the language we speak. Oh, they do have Greek as well, right? But that one they don't really hold to as much, although, you do have that one as well. And that's all, these things are all indicators as to who that elite group of people is. Because if they're using Latin, and if they're using Greek to a lesser extent, but also using Greek, then perhaps this elite group of people would be those that ruled as the who used Latin. Well, the ancient Romans did. Well, perhaps this elite group of people would be the same people that ruled as the ancient Romans. Perhaps the elite group of people would be the same people that ruled as the Greeks. Okay, well, wait a minute. Were they the same people that ruled, or different people? Huh? Well, they were the same. I'll tell you that. Okay, well then our theory may still hold. Maybe the people that ruled as the Greeks that spoke Latin, ruled as the ancient Romans that spoke Latin, and ruled as the Greeks, since they're the same people that spoke Greek. And they're using those languages today, primarily Latin, but also Greek. And then they got another language today called English. I forgot where I was going with that, so Slaki, I lost my train of thought, but I was going to bring that around somewhere. But let me just go back and pick the thread up, where I can see it. right? But they're funneling everybody into what we call, that's right, that's why they're using the Latin. And that's all pointing you back to who this elite group of people is, and they're funneling everybody into the slaughterhouse, which is the Novus Ordo Seclorum. Novus being the Latin for new, Ordo being the Latin for order, and Seclorum, you should recognize Seclorum. That's where you get the word secular, okay, or of the world. The Novus Ordo Seclorum, Seclorum being the Latin for world, okay? That's the slaughterhouse, okay? That's the slaughterhouse. So everything that's being done right now is being done intentionally, and it is an effort to leverage the control over the rulership of this earth that's been given to them to funnel everybody into that slaughterhouse, which is the Novus Ordo Seclorum, okay? And there's certain particulars about how you're going to have to be able to operate in that slaughterhouse, okay? There's certain particulars about how you're going to be able to operate in that slaughterhouse, okay? And that's what we're going to be getting into, because that's the coup de grace. It's all about getting everybody to the price of admission into that slaughterhouse, okay? And they're going to make it so that you want to go into that slaughterhouse, okay? Even though it's a slaughterhouse. When you have cattle that are getting slaughtered, a lot of times they'll have feed. And if the cattle want to eat, they have to march or progress towards the slaughterhouse, and they get fed up into the slaughterhouse. So the cattle want to go into the slaughterhouse, and the way to go into that slaughterhouse, the price of admission to the Novus Ordo Seclorum is going to be getting sea-hipped, okay? Which is what the scripture refers to as the hour of temptation. And all get it. Well, you're going to be slaughtered. You're going to be roasted. This will be the vast majority of planet Earth. So that's what we're going to be starting off with. We'll segue from that back into Ezekiel 38, because we've been out of Ezekiel 38, I don't know, like a week or more, something like a week or more. I think I want to say like more than a week. Okay. I think last time we were in Ezekiel 38 was not yesterday, but 2 Fridays ago. So like a week and change ago, 8 days ago. So Yahweh Razah, we'll get back into Ezekiel 38. And that's all going into how this is all going to end, okay? Everything's connected. Everything's tied in together. And what I just described to you, them funneling this whole world into that slaughterhouse, that has to happen. It's end-time biblical prophecy. And then the end is going to come, that we're going to read about at the end of Ezekiel 38, because we've broken down the whole chapter. Then that end's going to come, which is depicted on the thumbnail that you clicked on, okay? That's it right there, okay? The scripture refers to it as the second death. That's how the scripture refers to it as. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Before I do, I'm going to turn and face the east. When the sun called the Pa'arath, Hawad Wahaloyum, Rawatham Yatla, Allah Yanawa, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shabbat, Recha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and respect to the brothers teaching and pushing this truth out the four corners of the earth. To the hopeful elect, the 144,000 and the 1/3, as well as the rest of the elect scattered abroad amongst the heathen nations to the four corners of the earth, east, north, south, and west. To you I say, Shalom. Peace be unto you. This is your brother Ra'ib Tazadakwa coming back at you again, all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. For as it is written, not by power nor by might, but by my spirit, saith the Adawan, the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai Mashiach. Yahweh Ratazah, Yahweh willing, this lesson is going to be edifying and encouraging for you Achim, you brothers, and any Achwa, sisters, that may be listening and or watching. And I see a few brothers and perhaps sisters on the comment board. I see, all brothers so far. Shalom. Shalom to the young Shah, the young prince, Yasha 1444. Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah Barakatah to you, Malak. Young Shah, young prince, glad you could join us, Lord willing, you're edified. Shalom to the brother Hananya Shadyachan. All right, shalom to you, Malak. Glad you could join us, Lord willing, you are edified. Shalom to the brother La'abna Wathan. Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah Barakatah to you, Malak. Shalom to you as well. Glad you could join us, Lord willing, you are edified. And shalom to the brother Judah Achia. All right, shalom to you, brother. I'm glad you could join us as well, Lord willing, you are edified. Shalom to all you Malakim. May Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah Barakatham. Wakal Baba Make sure I say so. Wakal ba yam ka. All right, and all of your households, you know. And may Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua Haya Afnawa. May Yahweh in the name of Yahushua be with us. Okay. So, all right, this is all about control. Those that have been given control, all right, which the languages that they use, that's a clue to who they are. All right. Okay, they use the Latin. That's why it's on the back of your dollar bill, which is also telling you that pursuant to Revelation the 13th chapter, like verses 2 and 3, specifically 3, well, it started 1, right? But it tells you there's a great, is it say a beast or a dragon there? Let me just look at it. We're going to go there in a minute anyway, so I might as well open it up. Okay? Make sure I got my terminology correct. The beast and the dragon talking about the same thing. Synonymous for the most part. It says a beast here, right? And it doesn't call it red here. Okay, you got different representations of the beast, right? You got a different representation over in Revelation 17, right? But it's talking about the same thing. Okay, but here it calls it a beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. Just real quick, a repetition is the father of skill. The 7 heads is the Greeks, the Romans, Germaner Major, Germaner Minor, the French, the Spanish, and the British. And those 3 right there, the French, the Spanish, and the British, that should sound very similar or familiar with regards to the nations of today that have colonized the whole world. Okay? That's why a lot of the world speaks French, English, or Spanish. Okay? And so, but that beast, whether it's the beast represented in here in Revelation, which, let me see here, 13? Yeah, it's a different manifestation of the beast, a different representation of the beast, right? Whether it's this beast here or whether it's the beast that's over in Revelation 17, okay, a great red dragon. All right, it's representing the kingdoms and empires of Esau Edom. Esau Edom, spanning thousands of years. Okay, that's what it's representing. So the Greeks, okay, ruled by Esau Edom. The ancient Roman Empire ruled by Esau Edom. Okay, Germaner Major, Germaner Minor, and then the French, the Spanish, and the British, all ruled by Esau Edom. And out of the 7 comes the 8th. Okay, out of the 7 comes the 8th head. All right, which is America, Babylon the Great. Okay, which are to be destroyed. Okay, and let's see here. Let me see here. Yeah, let's go. I don't need to get too deep into it, okay? Because I won't get into what I want to get into today. But America, Babylon the Great, comes out of the 7, okay? Referred to as the Great Melting Pot. So that represents that beast, and then the beast has 10 horns, which today the 10 horns would be the EU, because you have to understand that the European Union started off as the European Economic Community, the EEC, and it started off with 12. I think it started with 6 at first, but then they quickly added 6 more. And you say 12 is not 10, it says 10 horns. 12 is not 10, you're correct, right? However, you're wrong, because in this case, 12 does equal 10, because if you have one nation, no matter how many sub-nations you divide that one nation up into, what do you still have? You still just have one nation, okay? You have one nation, you divide it up into 1,000, you still got one nation. You can count it as 1,000 as you want, but it's still one nation. So that 12 is actually 10, because you had Spain and Portugal. All right, and that's just one, okay? Spain and Portugal, just one. So now your 12 is 11, and then you had Great Britain and Ireland, and that's one. That's the United Kingdom. Why they call it a United Kingdom? Because it was divided at first. Now it's back together again. United Kingdom. And now your 11 becomes 10. That's your 10 horns. And even if you add a bunch of more after it, yo, you can come in and you can come in and you too. Hey, everybody, come on in. Whatever. Hey, it doesn't change end time biblical prophecy, man. Okay, the 10 horns is the EU, and it started as 12, but that 12 is 10. Okay, because again, Spain and Portugal are 1, Great Britain and Ireland, that's also 1. Now your 12 is 10. That's your 10 horns. Okay, so you got your beast up there, but it tells you right. I might as well read it to you. Revelation 13 and 3. Okay, and I saw one of his heads. Okay, and this is how you know this isn't talking about no one man who's the Antichrist, anti-Mashiach. All right, there is no one man who's the anti-Mashiach. Even now, are there many anti-Mashiachim gone out into the world? Wait a minute, there's a whole bunch of them back then, but there's only one now. No, it was a whole bunch back then, and there's a whole hell of a lot more now. Okay, all right, and they come here and they just read this one verse, and because you brain dead in pagan Christianity, it doesn't dawn on you that what they're telling you that this means makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. Let's just look at it real quick. And Revelation 13:3. Okay, this is supposed to be one man who has a deadly wound. I was in pagan Christianity a long time, man, and it never made sense to me, right? But you know, you in pagan Christianity, well, I mean, I guess it's just me. I guess I just don't understand. I guess I just need to learn more and pray more, you know. But it never makes sense to me. And you see these so-called Christian, pagan Christian, end-time biblical prophecy movies, and they show you some one dude who's supposed to be charismatic, handsome, you know, kissing babies, helping old ladies carry their garbage across the street, whatever, groceries across the street, and then he gets a deadly wound, and then he's healed, right? And he goes on to take over the world and whatever, right? But that doesn't make any sense, because when you read it, and this shows you how brain dead you are when you're in pagan Christianity, because it tells you right here, and I saw one of his heads with an S. So this man has to have more than one head. All right, well, wait a minute. If he's got more than one head, how many heads does he have? Well, just read the preceding verses and you find out that if there's one man who's an antichrist, then he has to have 7 heads. So show me this 7-headed man. Where's he at? And how the hell is everybody going to give a 7-headed man the keys of the world, the control of the earth? No, man, it makes no sense whatsoever, because that's a goddamn lie. Okay? We know what one of his heads refers to, the heads of the seven heads of the beast, right? Which I already told you represents the empires and kingdoms of Esau, Edom, spanning thousands of years. Okay? So the question now is, now that we understand that, and we've dispatched with the foolishness and folly of pagan Christianity, now that we understand that, the question is, well, which one of the heads? Okay? And I saw one of his heads, the heads of the beast, of which there's 7, one of them, as it were, wounded to death. So one of the heads was wounded with a deadly wound, which means what? It died. Okay? You're looking at it like, oh man, that head's done. Which one? But wait a minute. And his deadly wound was healed. But then it was healed after the fact. And then, right? Then, so like it doesn't say then, but it is talking about afterwards, right? And his deadly wound was healed. So at some period of time later, that head that it received a deadly wound, at some point in the future, at some period of time later, it's now healed. And that head is back. It's not dead anymore. And all the world wondered after the beast. That head is the ancient Roman Empire. Again, Greeks, Romans, Germania Major, Germania Minor, the French, the Spanish, and the British. The French, the Spanish, and the British are also here. They're not ruling on any type of power like that. They're part of the 10 horns, okay? But they're not ruling as a head right now. They're part of the beast though, but they're still here. The French, the Spanish, and the British are still here. Okay, Germania Minor, Germania Major, no, not them. So that would leave either the Greeks or the Romans. Okay, well, which one of those languages is on the back of your dollar bill? All right, which one of those languages do you have to learn if you're going to learn law? Which one of those languages do you have to learn if you're going to go into the medical profession, the medical arena? Okay, that should tell you which of those two it would be. And you would find out that it's Latin, which was the official language of the ancient Roman Empire, right? Because the head that had received a deadly wound, and the deadly wound was healed. That head is the ancient Roman Empire. So when it says, and his deadly wound was healed, that means the ancient Roman Empire ended. Oh, you know, for them anyway, around like 100 to 125 AD. It ended about 100, 125 AD, and they started to be driven up into the Caucasus Mountains. This is getting into Revelation, the 20th chapter. And then 1,000 years later, you know, they start to come down, which is about 1300, because all of this is in a period of time. It's not happening in a day. As they say, Rome didn't fall in a day, right? It's a period of time, 150-ish, maybe 200-year period. these things are transitioning. Okay, so about 125 or so AD, let me see, I got this right. Western Roman Empire, which was referred to by the Eastern Roman Empire as the pagan Roman Empire, that went down. That's the portion that was still controlled by the Edomites. That went down about 125 AD thereabouts. Over a period of time, the Edomites started to be driven up into the Caucasus Mountains. Oh, they were up and good up in the Caucasus Mountains, around like 350 AD, 400 AD or so. Put 1,000 years on that. That's one of the 2,000-year periods referred to in Revelation 20. There's two different periods there. Got to know that, or you're going to fuck Revelation 20 all up. Okay? Don't do that. Okay? We're going to go there, but I don't think we might get there today. We'll see. All right? But that's one of the 1,000-year periods. There's two of them there. And so you put that 1,000 years on it, about 1300, 1350 to about 1450 AD. That's when they're coming back down. That's when that 1,000-year period is over. That kicks off the Renaissance, which Renaissance, the word means what? Rebirth. Renaissance means rebirth, and you don't have to ask rebirth of what, because we've already been talking about it. Rebirth of their rulership. Rebirth, to be specific, of the rebirth of Edomite rulership, because those that ruled as the Greeks, all right, we know this for a biblical fact, because it's their true nationality, the true nationality of the rulers of the Greek Empire is identified in the scriptures in the book of Maccabees at least twice. It might be 3 times. I haven't counted it. Okay, but one of the places is 1 Maccabees 4, and I want to say 61 or 62, whatever is the last verse. It tells you right there that those that were ruling as the Greeks was Idumea, and the word Idumea is what? It's the Greek way of saying, they were the Greeks, right? It's the Greek way of saying Esau, Edom. So those that were ruling as the Greeks were actually the Edomites, and everybody knew it. So, but then their rulership transitioned from the Greek Empire to the Roman Empire. Whole different empire. Not simultaneous, meaning at the same time. Okay, find a point in time. All right, you got the Greeks and the Romans together, right? Nope. It's not simultaneous on the timetable. It's sequential. First the Greeks, then the Romans. You got brass in the statue of the dream by Nebuchadnezzar, King Nebuchadnezzar. Then you got iron. Okay, not the same metal, two different metals. You got the leopard with 4 wings. That's a whole different beast. Then you got this other beast over here. We don't know what it is. It's just great and dreadful and terrible with like iron teeth. Okay, 2 different beasts, right? Because they're not simultaneous. They're sequential. This one, then that one. Okay, so they ruled as the Greeks. Okay, and then they ruled as the Romans. Now it doesn't tell you that specifically in the scriptures, but we know it for a fact. And here's a clue. That's the reason why, out of all the empires, there's only 2 empires that I can think of that are spoken of in the same breath. All right, and the first one would be the Medo-Persian Empire. Now, why would that be spoken of in the same breath? Why would the Medes and the Persians be spoken of as having an empire at the same time in the same breath? Well, that's because they were ruling together at the same time. Simultaneous, together. Find a point in time where they were ruling, boom, you find they're both there. Okay, that makes sense. What's the other one? We already told you, man. The Greeks and the Romans. Greco-Roman Empire. Greco-Roman Empire. What is the reason why those 2 empires would be spoken of in the same breath? Well, only one reason we can think of, and that would be because they're also at the same point in time, right? Wrong. We already covered that. They're not at the same time. Well, then why are they spoken of in the same breath? You got 2 sequential. This one, then that one. So why would they be spoken of in the same breath? Because it's the same people ruling in both empires. That's why. That's the reason why, even though they're 2 different empires, different times, hey, right next to each other though, right next to each other, but this one first, then that one. This one first, that one's over, now it's this one. That one's over, right? Yep, that was over. Now we're gonna start this one, okay? Yep, starting this one, that one's finished. But they're spoken of in the same breath. Why? Because they're the same people. But we already identified, pursuant to the scriptures, you can look it up, that the Edomites ruled as the Greeks, and the Edomites also ruled as the Romans. Okay? And what language they use as Romans? Latin. And that's why it's on the back of your dollar bill. Okay? And there's so many more clues and just flat out indications that this is Rome all over again. Benjamin Netanyahu was talking to Mike Pompeo, and he was telling him to his face that this is Rome. He was talking about America. And Mike Pompeo was just sitting there nodding his head. They know that this is Rome all over again. And you say, well, I didn't know it. You should know it. They put it right in front of everybody's face about, like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months ago, maybe 6 months ago, no more than that. They had this fad that swept social media where all these celebrities and even just regular folks were putting up TikToks and YouTube videos talking about how their husbands and their men and all that, all they ever think about is Rome for some goofy, dumbass reason. Okay? What were they doing that for? And social media was flooded with that for like a couple of weeks. That was them telling you that they're Rome. This is Rome. You live in Rome. All over again. This is the revival of the Roman Empire. This is the head that had the deadly wound that is healed. Okay? And you should know that they've had their heart's intent set on that Novus Ordo Seclorum from the beginning. That's the reason why it's on the back of your dollar bill. And that's what all of this that's being done intentionally. They're leveraging the control that they have to funnel the world into the slaughterhouse known as the Novus Ordo Seclorum. Okay? And when they get you in there, they're going to see-hip you. All right? Which takes us to Revelation 13, 16 through 18. All right, we already got a little bit above. Let's drop down to 16 through 18. Okay? All right, because I was watching a video that Elder Apostle Tahar put up, and in there he featured a little short clip from Colonel Douglas McGregor, and in there, Colonel Douglas McGregor has been saying the same thing that I've been hearing a lot of economists and geopolitical analysts and whatnot. Everybody, cats, dogs, frogs, everybody's been talking about how what's going on with the Strait of Hormuz and the threat of it also spilling over to the Bab al-Mandeb Strait, as well as other straits. I forget the name of the one that's over there. I forget exactly where it's at, but there's another major strait that they're talking about as well. All of this with the drop in the decrease in the flow of oil and liquefied natural gas, petroleum products to the world, okay? Even though it's a nominal drop, you know, it's not, you know, it's, oh, we should be okay. No, it's having a massive impact on the world, and they're all talking about it, and they're all saying the same thing, that, hey, look, the effects of it are delayed, but when it hits, it's going to hit like a ton of bricks, several tons of bricks, okay? All right, and they're saying, and they're also comparing it to the impact of the Crown Victorious from back in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and they're saying it's going to overshadow that. All right, and they're saying, and basically, I'm hearing them express a lot of fear and angst and anguish. They're all scared about it. That's what I'm hearing them say. So Colonel Douglas McGregor was echoing a lot of those sentiments, but he said something that ramped it up a bit. He said something like this. I was going to play the clips for you like I typically like to do, but I forgot my handy dandy backup Batman trusty Batman backup phone. You know, I don't have it. It's in my other Murrah. All right, it's in my other Chariot, and I forgot it. I was like, damn it. Okay, but anyway, so I'll just tell you what he said. I was going to play him, and I was going to play this one other dude who was basically backing him up as far as how bad the effects of this is going to be. The true effects of it, according to all these political analysts and these geopolitical analysts and these economists, the effects of it hasn't hit yet. Not the real effect. Okay, yeah, it's caused gas prices to jump up like 50+%, yeah, and we all feel that, or more, and we all feel that, but the real effect hasn't hit yet. And they're all saying the same thing. When it does hit, it's going to be massive. And that's intentional. That's the funneling, that's the leveraging of the control that's been given to the Edomites. But not all Edomites, the elites of Esau Edom. Okay? That's who the they are. You know, you always hear people talking about they this, they that. And it's like, who the hell are the they? Do you know who the they is? Well, I don't really know, but they, all right? Well, we know who the they is. The they is Esau Edom on the lowest level, but on the highest level, the they is the elites of Esau Edom. You can sometimes hear people start to get a little close. They still ain't hitting the nail on the head though, but they talk about the bankers, okay? They talk about the elite families, the shadow that are operating in the shadows and whatnot. Well, they're the Edom. They're some of the elites of Esau Edom. That's some of them, okay? That's really who it is. And when you identify it that way, it broadens the scope beyond just the bankers, okay? it brings into play those that are controlling the 3 city-states. Okay, all right, which is the three unclean spirits like frogs. I want to say that's Revelation the 16th chapter, which are 3 city-states. So it's not just going to be the bankers, which is going to really get into London. That's the London. That's one of the 3 city-states, which is the financial center. And then you got another one of the city-states, sovereign. They're cities, but they're sovereign states in their own right, like London. And you got D.C. here. Oh, D.C. is in the Delaware, Maryland, Virginia area, but it's not subject to any of those jurisdictions. It's its own. It has its own sovereign rules, right? So that's the second one, which that's the military might, military / political center. All right, so it's going to bring them into, and then you got the third city-state, which is the Vatican, which is the false prophet that the scripture speaks about. And so bring all that in. The elites of Esau, Edom. That's who the they is. Right? So let's get this here, because this is the coup de grace. This is what they're funneling everybody into that slaughterhouse for. And once they get you in that slaughterhouse, they're going to see-hip you, which is what this is talking about. Revelation 13, 16 through 18. This is all going there. That's why it's being done. This is being done. And many great, extreme, and severe miseries shall be done. Not happen, done. And if it's done, somebody's what? Doing it. Unto who? Them that dwell in the world in the latter days. Are we in the latter days? Yes, everybody knows that. Even agnostics, even atheists can see that we're at the end of something. They don't know what, they don't know why, they don't know who, but they know, yeah, it's the end of something, God damn it. All right, and I've heard them say that myself, okay? Even they can see it, right? Yes, this is the end. These are the last, matter of fact, these are not just the last days, these are the last days of the last days of the last days, okay? It's about to be, that's all, folks. That's what it's about to be, okay? Matter of months, we believe, okay? Double-digit months, I think, yeah. Could you still measure it in years? I think so, yeah, probably. No guarantee, but yeah, I think so, okay? But still months, okay? Like a bunch of months. No, I don't think so, okay? I mean, what do you call a bunch of months? We don't know for sure, okay? All right, but Yaharazah, it falls in like 18 to 36. That would be my best guess, my best educated end-time biblical prophecy prophetic guess, because that's all we can do. We measure the time diligently in and of itself, and when we see part of the signs, we see almost all, and the few that remain is just so very few that remain, but they're front and center right now. So how much more? When thou seest part, we only need to see part. We see them all, and the few that remain, they're right here, right now. I'm passing quickly, rapidly. So all the much more so, when you see part of the signs pass, which I've told thee before, then shalt thou well understand that it is the same time when the highest will begin to visit the world which he made, and he is visiting this world. So Yahweh Razah, I'm correct, and if I'm wrong on the short side, less than 18. And Yahweh forbid I'm wrong on the long side. It's more than 8. It's more than 36. But it could be. Okay, we don't know for sure, but we are supposed to measure and have a reasonable idea of where we're at. Okay, all right. We ain't supposed to be thinking we got it, decades more, and it's just 2-3 years out. No, or we ain't supposed to be thinking necessarily that it's 2-3 years out when it's still got a couple decades. No, we're supposed to measure the time diligently, and it's going to be, it's going to be a margin of error there, but we should be within that margin of error. And so, doing that, we're commanded to know when, right? In that general time sense, right? Just like Yahweh Shai, he reprimanded the wicked scribes and Pharisees for not knowing that it was the time that he should be there. He said, thou hypocrites, you're able to discern the signs of the weather. Okay, you're able to look up and see that. Basically, the way that the world says it today is red at night, sailors delight. Red in the morning, sailor take warning. Well, the version back then, the saying was a little different. Yahweh Shai said you're able to look up and see that when the sky is red and lowering, all right, which means in the morning you look up and you see a red sky, and it's lowering, which lowering means threatening. You know it's not going to be good weather. Okay. But you look up and you see a sky in the evening that's got red, you know that it's going to be good weather tomorrow. Okay? And then he called them hypocrites because you're able to discern the signs of the weather, but you're not able to discern the signs of the time. See, so we are. No man knows the day nor the hour, but you better be able to. Hey, we're commanded to watch and pray. Are you doing a good job watching if you don't have any idea? If you're doing a good job watching, if you don't know, okay, well, I don't know exactly what day, what month, and I don't even really know what year, but I think it's real close. I think maybe this year, maybe next year. I'd be surprised if it goes to if you ain't measuring it like that, you fucking up. Okay? And you're gonna get rebuked. Right? We're commanded to know when on a general timetable, not specifics. Okay, we don't know specifics. All right. So getting into this Revelation 13 and 16. Okay? And this is where it's all going to. And then what? We're gonna get to that next. And he causeth. Now we know who the he is. The he is the they. The they is Esau Edom, but more specifically, the elites of Esau Edom. Right? Because the regular common Esau Edom, the regular common Joe Sixpack, as they call them, Edomites, they just get their asses getting funneled into the slaughterhouse too. Okay? That's why it says, and he calls it all. That all is universal. And you got to say that because all is not always universal, and that's why people get tripped up into who salvation is for. Okay, if you at your family reunion, let's just say you at your job, and the boss comes in and says, these new benefits are for everybody. It only applies to the people who work there. It don't apply to the people who don't work there. But that's how y'all treat all and everyone and whosoever every time you see it in the scriptures. So you gotta make sure you know, is it universal or is it not? Is it limited to the scope? Is it limited to the context? Or is it universal Catholic, meaning everybody? Here, this is Catholic. This is universal. This is talking about everybody. And he calls it all on planet Earth. And we put with this Revelation 3 and 10, which is a precept, and it makes it plain over there. This is the hour, which is not a literal hour. It's a metaphoric hour, which is a relatively brief period of time, which can be any period of time that's relatively brief in the context. And my estimation, we're talking about a matter of months here. You may even be able to measure, it may even be more feasible or what's the word I'm looking for? It may even be more practical to measure it in weeks. Okay? But let's go with months on it. You mean like a year, like 12? I don't think so. We don't know. For now we know in part and we prophesy in part. Okay? 1 Corinthians 13, the end of the chapter, right? We don't know the specific detail like that. But I would say no, not over a year, less than a year. Okay? I would say less than a year. Okay? And, years? Almost certainly not. Okay? Could it go over a year? Possible. I think highly unlikely. I think very likely less than a year. Months. Okay? How many? Don't know exactly. Okay? We'll see. But it's going to be relatively brief. It's going to be moving fast, real fast. Because that's also the time when Tazaria Iqua is going to ramp all the way up. The family of the hearing of the word is going to ramp all the way up. That's here. They're both here. They're both already here. Right? And they're both going to all the way ramp that should tell you how close this is. And they're both going to ramp all the way up in that period of time. Isaiah 4 and 1, the men of the Lord getting spiritual power, all of that. Isaiah 65, and then boom, we out of here. Barakatah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. That's what we're waiting for. That's why we want these things to happen fast. Because that's when we get deliverance and salvation. Okay? Which is what we're all waiting for. We're striving for that penny of infinite value. I remember I saw a video on YouTube. Man, it might have been like 15, 20 years ago. I saw this video on YouTube. Well, whatever. Right? And the video was called The $100 Million Penny. It was called The $100 Million Penny, right? And it was just showing you they wanted to represent the national debt at that time, and they were representing it with pennies, right? And so each penny was $100 million. And they represented the national debt, which was trillions of dollars. I don't remember what it was anymore. Now we're running up on 40 trillion, but they represented it with $100 million pennies. And when they started dumping those pennies, man, it was so many. You was like, oh, $100 million for each penny. It can't be that many pennies. It's gonna be a few pennies. It's gonna be, you got a little bit, kind of a lot, a little bit, a lot, right? But it ain't gonna be that many pennies to represent the debt. It was so many pennies. And each one of those pennies, man, they flooded out the place with pennies. And each one of those pennies represented $100 million. Well, this penny that we're going to get paid is a penny of infinite value. You can't put a price on this penny. It's the kingdom of heaven. It's the kingdom of heaven, which is eternal, in which we are going to get all good things. Okay, with our Father is fullness of joy. And on his right hand are pleasures. That's where we're at. We're on the right hand side. Our pleasures. No, man, hey, pleasure's wicked. You're supposed to be enjoying that. You're supposed to be enjoying that. On his right hand, that's where we're at. Our pleasures forevermore. I'm looking forward to the pleasures. Right? Okay? I'm looking forward to the pleasures. We're going to have pleasure like you ain't never imagined. All of it. All of it. Okay? Don't even bother mentioning the women. It starts with that. That's the baseline there. And that baseline is a hell of a baseline because let's just say you could find a woman on this side that please you the way you wanted her to please you. I mean, she leaves, I know that's a fantasy, right? But let's just go with it for a second. She pleases you exactly the way you want her to please you. She don't deny you nothing. She never disappoints. That's not going to compare to the kingdom at all. At all. And you're going to have that in great, great, great abundance. And that's where it starts. So when our Father says on his right hand are pleasures forevermore, it just goes, it's infinite, man. That you cannot imagine. I have not seen nor ear heard, neither is it entered into the heart of man what the Most High has prepared. Our Father Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah is prepared for them that love him and are called according to his purposes. You have no idea, I have no idea. All I know is it sounds good, I want to be there. Back into this. So the he is the elites of Esau Edom. And what is he doing? And he causeth all, both small and great. Okay? This right here is meant to make it very clear that this is comprehensive. In other words, it's all inclusive. There's nobody outside the bounds of small and great. Everybody's either small or they're great, and then everybody in between. No exceptions. Okay? Rich and poor. Everybody's either poor or everybody's either poor or rich, and everybody in between, and all varying degrees of it. Free and bond. Okay? Everybody's either free or they're a slave, some kind of way. Debt slaves, contractual slaves, which that's the predominant way of slavery today, but you actually have some that are actual straight up slaves, right? Literal slaves. Okay, and everything in between, various degrees. Okay, the point being made here by the scriptures is literally everybody, which takes us again to Revelation 3 and 10. Okay, the hour of temptation, which is coming upon the whole world. Oikumene. Look up the word world. Make sure it's oikumene, because if it ain't oikumene, then it ain't talking about the whole planet and everybody on it. But if it is oikumene, then it is talking about the whole planet and everybody on it. John 3:16, not oikumene. Why not? Because that's only talking about the world of Israel, the apt and harmonious arrangement, order, constitution of Israel. Oh, I forgot one word, that definition. I forgot one word. Government, singular, of Israel. It's only talking about Israel there. Okay, but Revelation 3 and 10, that's oikumene, translated to world, and it's talking about everybody on the planet. He calls it all. That's the hour of temptation. A relatively brief period of time that the elites of Esau Edom they're already funneling everybody, but then they're gonna start tagging their cattle. Okay? They're gonna start tagging their cattle. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, is the Revelation 13 verses 16 to 18 that we're reading about. And he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor. They're leveraging the control that's been given to them. Again, Job 9 and 24, Daniel 4:17. They're leveraging that control to funnel everybody into that slaughterhouse where they're going to see-hip you, and they can slaughter at will at that point. They slaughter at will at that point. Okay? And then what? That's what's coming next. We're going to get to it. You should already know. Look at the thumbnail. You've watched the other parts, haven't you? You should already know. I'm not talking to you brothers. I know you brothers know. And you sisters that are faithful that get on. Okay, I know y'all know. Okay? To receive I'm gonna say the Greek word behind it. Charagma. Okay, that's the ark of the east. Put an M on that ark and a B on that east. In their right hand, well, here in America, Babylon the Great, it is literally the right hand. And they show you that it's compared to the size of a grain of rice. You know, they show it like this. They have it in their hand. And then they have the charaks right next to it. Usually it's a white injector of some sort with a fat ass, pointy ass, sharp ass tip to that charaks. Okay? Which that's what they pierce you with. Okay? Okay? That's the root word for charagma. All right? Okay? And they show it right there, and they say, oh, it just feels like a little pinch. I saw one of these Edomites getting it, and he was like, and he got it, and when he was done, he's like, damn, that hurt. Right? Yeah, right? They're gonna tell you, oh, you barely feel a thing, you know? Okay? That's really Esau Edom popping you and drawing blood, and you're entering into a covenant with death. You're entering into and all covenants, man, true covenants are entered into with what? Blood. Okay? And the blood that's being used to enter into this covenant with death, Esau Edom, to be a participant, one of the cattle that he will slaughter at will in his Novus Ordo Seclorum, the blood that's being used to bind that contract, that covenant, is your blood. And if you understand anything about covenants, man, it's blood in, blood out. Okay? You don't get into a covenant with blood and then just get to walk out. It's blood in, blood out. Okay? Only way out is death. Okay? All right, to receive that charagma in their right hand, right? Here in America, Babylon the Great, it is the right hand. Okay? And they put it right between the thumb and forefinger, usually. Sometimes they'll put it somewhere else, but usually right between the thumb and the forefinger, right? You know, and then they'll do like that, and you can see it poking up. That's the charagma, an indelible stamp, a carving, graven image, and that's what it looks like. It looks like somebody stamped it right there, and you can see it poking up under the skin, or they carved it into the skin. That's the charagma. And I already told you what the charaks is, which is the root word for charagma. The charaks is that injector that they stick it into you, piercing you and drawing your blood. Entering you into a covenant with death, which shall be, the scripture says disannul, but really annul. Okay? The dis is an opposite. And the on the annulled is also an opposite. For whatever reason, they got two opposites there, but the word means undone. It's going to be overwritten. It's going to be muted. It's going to be voided out. Okay? All right, so it really should be annulled, but they made it disannulled. I don't know why I think that's an error. You know, you might speak to the English guys on that one, because they kind of messed that one up. It should just be annulled. But it's disannulled. All right? In the scriptures, it says disannulled. Okay? In other words, it ain't going to work out the way you want it. That's why it says over 2 Ezra 16, all that consent unto them shall be had in derision and trodden underfoot. Derision and reproach and trodden underfoot. Okay? It is going to go very ill for you. All that shall be joined unto them shall be pierced through with the sword. Isaiah 13. Okay? That's what this is all going to. That's why they're doing all this, man. All the wars, all the fighting, the collapse of the economies of the world is intentional. I forgot to tell you what Colonel Douglas McGregor said. None of y'all reminded me, man. I forgot to tell you what Colonel Douglas McGregor said, because he said something really heavy. Colonel Douglas McGregor said he was echoing the same sentiments as everybody else, all the other economists. He was echoing the same sentiments, and he said this. And I don't know if one morning we wake up and we're no longer using the dollar. We're no longer using the U.S. dollar. Basically, he was saying he expects that one day we're going to go to sleep, and then when we wake up in the morning, the dollar is going to be no longer in use. Well, if the dollar is not in use, then what is in use? Well, he said some other new currency. Oh, they're gonna print some other new currency? Why the hell would they do that? Okay, haven't you paid attention to the I forget what the name of the bill was that DJ Wicked Trump just passed maybe about 6 months ago or something like that. He signed it into law where they're I can't remember. I covered it in one of my lessons. I'm gonna give it to you generally. I can't remember the specific words and all that, but you're gonna get the idea. It's a modernization bill to bring the economy of the United States up into the modern age where they're making everything digital. And in there, one of the things they talked about was upgrading all the systems of the United States to better utilize and integrate with. They mentioned a number of things, but two things to take note was to better integrate and utilize AI, and even more importantly, digital currencies. And they said after that, implantable. Remember that Charax I was telling you about, right? Implantable. That's what they do with it, right? They right there. And what are they doing? They are implanting it. Implantable digital technologies. So why the hell would they make another paper currency? Okay, they're not. It'll probably be stable coin or some other version like that. Okay, all right. You know how this devil likes to get down with his names. All right, I want to call this the "You Want It" coin. You know, you want it, don't you? Right? I'll call this the "You Want It" coin. And he intentionally makes the dollar all volatile all over the place, losing all its value all over the place. And then I got this digital currency right here called the stable coin. It'll be stable. You want that, don't you? Like, yeah, give me the stable coin, right? Playing with the word psychology, man. You know? Okay, this devil is a master deceiver, right? So that's what it's going to be. And that digital currency, whether it's the stable coin or some other thing, that digital currency, I already told you the Greek word for ark, put an M on that, is charagma. And I already told you that the root word is charax, which goes into the piercing, the injecting, the penetration, the drawing of your blood if you take it, okay? And then that has a root word as well, which is grapho, which ties into words like autograph, okay, where you write your signature. You know, you write your signature, it's an autograph. So that graph goes into writing or recording or storage of information, which that's exactly what the radio frequency ID micro C to the hip will be used for. It's going to store digital information right under your skin. And one of those pieces of digital information which will be stored is your central bank digital currencies. I don't know if we go to sleep one day and we wake up and we're using another currency. Okay? Hell no, it ain't going to be a literal paper fiat currency. It's going to be a digital fiat currency. Okay? Again, remember, this is a cattle chute. Okay? Right? So, and on that is going to be stored or graphoed. On that is going to be stored or graphoed your central bank digital currency, whether it's and they're going to have absolute, complete, and total control, right? Which is which will be either the stable coin or some other version, right? They're also going to store things like your shoulder pop status on there, okay? That'll be stored on there. Your digital ID, you're hearing a hell of a lot about that, aren't you? That's going to be stored, graphoed on there. They're gonna store things like your digital wallet. Of course, you got to have the digital wallet because your stable coin or whatever digital currency they come up with, that's going to be in your digital wallet, and it's going to be all verified and validated by your digital ID. It's all going to be digital, baby, and then it's all going to be stored on your digital C-hip, charaxed into you under your skin, making an indelible imprinted mark, okay? Looking like it's been stamped or carved or etched into your skin because it's poking up out of the skin a little bit. You can see it. See? This is all coming together. This is where it's all going to, and then the end. What's the end? Well, you already see it on the thumbnail. Okay? So, that's the right hand. Now, you got to keep in mind, in various other places in the world, it's called the left. It's not called. I meant to say it's going to be the left hand. And you say, well, wait a minute. I got a question. Okay, the cat meme. That's a question, right? Wait a minute. If it says right hand, how come it's the left hand over in some other places? How can that still be it? Because the word right, okay, the word right has meanings other than literal right. The word right means primary or main. Okay, you have some mafia boss, and he's like, this here is my right hand man. And the right-hand man may be standing on the right, but the right-hand man may be standing on the left. And he doesn't go, well, this is my right hand. Wait a minute. What are you doing? Nincompoop? Get over here on the right-hand side. Okay, now, no, he just calls him on the left this is my right-hand man, because that right is not literally right. That right means this is the main man I use. If I really need an important job done and I need it to be done right, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, I go to this dude right here. He's my right-hand man, but he's on your left. Man, shut up. It's my right-hand man, right? And he's on the left, okay? Shalom to the brother Ariel, Yasha Allah, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh, Shabbat, Kudash, Barakatah. To you, Malak, glad you could join us, Lord willing, you're edified. Yeah, hey, do what you got to do, brother. Shalom to the Akhwath, Alicia Swain. Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh, Shabbat, Kudash, Barakatah. To you, Akhwath, glad you could join us, Lord willing, you're edified. And for your edification, Akhwath, as well as for the edification of all, you brothers know, Hashabbath is not Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. There is one main camp, might even be multiple main camps that teach that falsehood. Okay, I know IUIC teaches that falsehood, and there may be other camps that teach that falsehood as well. That's based on the way that the Boos over there in our land do it, which actually ties into the worship of Saturn, which goes into the Lord of the Rings. Okay, all right, that's actually paganism. Okay, they worship Saturn. They worship Saturn. The pagan Christians worship the sun, and those Muslims, they worship the moon. The God Allah of the Muslims, that's the moon god. All right, the god of pagan Christianity, that goes back to Nimrod at the Tower of Babel. And when Nimrod died, he ascended up. Supposedly, this is the lie, right? This is the paganism. He ascended up and became the sun, right? So that's the sun god. That's why they worship on Sunday. They changed it from whatever day they was worshiping to Sunday. Right? And that's the reason why you see them carrying around all those things. A lot of them look like sundial, or suns rather, mirrors and things that look like suns, because they're really worshiping the sun. Okay? And you say, well, that's the Roman Catholics. That ain't us. Hey, a corrupt tree cannot bear good fruit. All pagan Christianity, all of it, comes from the Roman Catholics. Can a corrupt tree bear good fruit? Yahweh Shah already told you. Okay, a corrupt tree cannot bear, well, I think so. A corrupt tree cannot bear good fruit. Okay? So yeah, the pagan Christians, they worship the sun. The Muslims, they worship the moon, and those Boos over there in the land, they worship Saturn. And that's the reason why they do it from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, which basically is the large part of what we call here today Saturday in the modern world. They're worshiping Saturn. Okay, that's not it. It does fall on Friday sundown to Saturday sundown from time to time, as it changes every moon cycle, which the moon cycles are determined what? The months. The true calendar is a lunar calendar, not a solar calendar. So right now in this current month, which starts, it ends when the new moon comes in. When the new moon comes in, that's the end of the previous month and the beginning of the next month. And for this current moon cycle, which is synonymous with month, it is Thursday sundown to Friday sundown, okay? And it's different every month. It rotates through. Sometimes it skips 2 days, sometimes it skips 1 day. Usually it'll skip 2, skip 1, skip 2, skip 1. So I think last time it skipped just one. Actually, it didn't slack it. Sometimes it'll skip 0 days, sometimes it'll skip 1 day. So last time it skipped 0 days, it went from Wednesday to Thursday. To this month, it's Thursday to Friday. So most likely next moon cycle is going to be Saturday to Sunday. Okay, but it rolls through every month. And that's for the edification of an Akhwath, because you continue Akhwath to get that screwed up. All right. So the current Sabbath right now is Thursday sundown to Friday sundown, based off the new moon. And that's for the edification of all, because you do have major camps out there. And sometimes when you learn something wrong, that's why it's important to learn things right the first time. Because sometimes when you learn things wrong, it's hard to unlearn the wrong and then to get the right. It can be a challenge sometimes. Right? So hopefully that's edifying to you all. Back into the topic. Okay? So that right goes into main or primary. So if your left hand is your main hand, that is your right hand. Okay? So don't get all tied up. You go to Revelation 20. Isn't that Revelation 20 and 4? Or it might be 16. I think it's Revelation 20 and 4. It doesn't mention right or left hand there. As a matter of fact, it makes it plural. It says hands. Right? Because it's not literally just the right hand. It's any hand. As a matter of fact, if you don't have any hands and you get it in your body, well, you say, well, I'm good. Don't toss me into the lake of fire. I didn't get it in the hand. It's in my nub. Okay, because I ain't got no hands, so I'm good. I can get it. No, you're being foolish. Okay? You and your nubs are going to get tossed into the lake of fire. Okay? This is the scriptures are just mentioning the main places where people are going to get it. It doesn't mean that if you get it somewhere else, you're all right. Okay? You deserve to be dunked, all right, and steeped and marinated in the lake of fire for being stupid. Don't be stupid, man. Don't play some matches with the king of terrors, which is our Father Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. All right? Okay? But yeah, Revelation 24, it just says hands. Okay? Yeah, or in their hands. It doesn't matter with hands. It doesn't matter if you get it in, and those that try to preach against the truth concerning this doctrine about the radio frequency ID micro C hip being the MOT to the capital B, they try to mock and say, well, what if I get it in my pinky toe? And what if I get it in my butt cheek? What if I get it in my elbow? Well, your pinky toe, your butt cheek, and your elbow is going to be dunked and soaked and marinated and roasted in the lake of fire. for being stupid. Okay? You better be careful who you listening to, man. All right? There's a reason why the Most High likens us into sheep. Sheep are stupid, man. Okay? You need to be able to do what it says in Malachi. Let me get you that real quick before we get back into Revelation 13. I think this is all we're going to have time for today. And then we're going to go to that Job 20. I don't think we're going to get back into Ezekiel 38 today. So let's go to, let's get this precept over here in Malachi. You better make sure you're able to do this, okay? And they're accused. There are ways to know and differentiate between true prophets and false, true teachers and false, true preachers and false, true apostles and preachers and those that are not, man. There's ways to tell, and it's in the scriptures, and you better be able to do it because your life depends on it. All right, okay? And it's not that hard to see the difference. It can be sometimes for a while, but ultimately, if you really keep watching, it's going to ultimately manifest. And a lot of the times, it's kind of obvious right off the rip. But people being stupid and simple-minded, and they looking at the wrong things, and they drunk, and they not sober-minded, and they're not watching and praying. And that's the reason why, even though it's obvious, they swallow it hook, line, and sinker. Okay? But it ought not to be. Let's go to the book of Malachi. Okay? And let's see what you're supposed to do. Malachi, the 3rd chapter, right? Or it might be the 1st chapter. Malachi 3 and 18. It's talking about what you got to do right now. It's talking about what you have to do right now. Malachi 3 and 18. This is what you got to do, man. Your life depends on it. You better pray and fast. We at the end. That's not a lot of time. Barakatah Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua for that. We glad. The scripture says to pray for few days. Few days. Why the hell we want to be here a long time? We getting our asses kicked in a certain sense. As far as we getting water fuck out. The scripture says so. And he shall wear out the saints. I'm worn out, aren't you? You say no? Well, you must not be one of the saints then. At least not in that context. Not in the context of getting salvation anyway. Okay? Because the saints in the broadest sense is all of Israel. The scripture says so. The 50th Psalm, the 147th Psalm, the 149th Psalm, and other precepts, I'm sure. The Bible defines who the saints are. Or when the saints go marching in. Who's the saints? Well, my pastor told me that the saints are whoever calls on G, whoever gets on the G bus. Well, where's that in the Bible? Okay? Where's that in the Bible? Okay, first off, that name Jebus, it shouldn't even be in the scriptures. It's not in the original language. Okay? It's Yahushua. Okay? Okay, that Jebus is bait and switch. Again, going back to the fact that modern day so-called Christianity is paganism. All right? I already told you who the God of pagan Christianity is, but the son, the so-called only begotten son of pagan Christianity, he also goes back to the Tower of Babel, which that's Tammuz. Okay? Your Jesus Christ is the latest in a long line of iterations of Tammuz. And iteration means you kind of redo it, you refresh it, you repackage it. And Tammuz has been refreshed and repackaged many times over the years. All around the world, many different cultures. So the one that's been the most popular and most successful, that's been pushed over the whole world, is Jesus Christ, which is Tammuz, going back to the Tower of Babel. Okay? So this is what you got to do. Malachi 3:18. His name is Yahushua. Then shall ye return, repent, be reconciled. You can never return someplace you've never been. So if you're returning, you had to have been there before. Has our Father Yahweh ever dealt with the heathen nations? Have the heathen nations ever been in a covenant with the Father? Have the heathen nations ever been with the Father? No, no, and no. So can they return? No. Neither can they reconcile, neither can they repent, because it all starts with which means back or again. And you can't again anything you've never done. This is simple. Okay? And I'm not putting up with any foolishness, man. Okay? Let's debate. Why? Okay? Go stand in the mirror. Debate yourself away. Debate to your heart's content. Okay? Then shall ye return. Only Israelites can return. And discern, differentiate, be able to distinguish between what? The righteous and the wicked. Oh, right. Because otherwise, you're going to be looking at the righteous, calling them wicked. You ain't know you were a false prophet. and then you're going to be looking at the wicked saying, oh, you're a man of God. You're a man of God. Here's all my money. And you're throwing monies at them. And panties and whatnot and everything else. Okay, for real. Okay? You got to be able to discern between the righteous and the wicked. Between him that serveth the Most High and him that serveth them not. Because otherwise, you're going to get it all backwards. Okay? That's what you're going to get. You're going to get it all backwards. Okay? All in the true manner of the Lord, false prophet, throwing shit at him and stuff. Right? Trying to hit him. And cussing him out. And then you're going to be calling the false, the one that's leading you to your death and destruction in the lake of fire, you're going to be all hugged up on him and shit. Okay? So you got to be able to do that. Back into Revelation 13. Okay? 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 So, that's talking about the charagma in the hands. Right hand, left hand, or anywhere on your body. That's just typically where people are going to get it. Okay? Or in their forehead. Now, forehead, okay? This is the forehead, and when you read that, you think about forehead like this, don't you? But it's not talking about that. The translators, I'm interested to see, I don't know if I checked this before or not. I'm interested to see if any of the other translations got it right. It's not that this is wrong per se, but it is wrong because it's not complete. And the way you know it's not complete is by doing the same thing that we already did with the word mark. Okay? You look at the root word. You look at the word itself in the Greek, get the definition, then you look at the root word, and you keep looking down to there's no more root words. And you take the meaning of all the root words, and you roll it up and include it in the word that you started with. Because that's why the root words are there. Because all the meaning of the words that come from it, the meaning of the root word is included in all the words that come from it. That's why they include it in the concordance, in the blue letter. But you got to click on it because they don't put the meaning in the actual word. They just put the root word. You got to click on it and read it. Okay? So that same exercise, you got to do it with this word too. So this word for forehead, translated to forehead, you click on that, you're going to find, you look it up in your hard copy, or you click on it, whatever. Okay? And you're going to find out that it's the Greek word metapon. Okay? Metapon. And when you read that definition, yeah, that sounds like a forehead to me. Okay, right, forehead, right? That's what the scholars did when they translated this. But they didn't finish the job. The scholars should have also clicked on the root word or looked up the root word. They weren't clicking at the time. They should have looked at the root word as well. And when they would have looked at the root word as well, they would have found that the root word brings in with it the idea of after. And also behind. So when you look at metapon, it carries the idea of between the eyes, right? Which, that's the forehead, man, case closed. Okay? Yeah, if you just look at that. But you get the root word, it brings with it the idea of after and behind. So when you put it all together, it's the region between and after or behind the eyes. After the region between and or behind after the eyes. So you got between the eyes, yeah, that's here. But once you go after the eyes, now you're getting all this. You go behind the eyes, now you're getting all this. So what is it talking about? Putting it simply, okay? The region between and or behind the eyes, let's put that into a few words. Anywhere on your head, in your head, okay? That's talking about anywhere in your head, anywhere on your head, okay? Now the forehead is included, yes, but none of the versions that I know about today, none of those versions go on the actual little forehead. Some, they may come out with some, they may, and that's it, right? Because the forehead is part of the head. But the versions that I know about today, and there's more, I'm not able to keep up with them, they add new ones all the time, okay? You got BlackRock Nortec, you got Synchron, and you got Neuralink. And all of those, like Neuralink, they usually put that behind the ear, over here. BlackRock Nortec, they put it at the base of the skull and bring it up through a main artery into the brain. And I don't know about the BlackRock, what's the BlackRock Nortec? Yeah, that's the one. I don't know exactly how they do that one, but it also goes in the head. That's what it's talking about. The radio frequency ID micro sheets to the hip for the head. Okay, you see how this is all making sense? We're getting into the down of it, and I can break it down more. Okay, you got precepts for it. Okay, like Isaiah 33:6. You got precepts for it, and you know that it has to do with money, and you got spiritual clues, man. That's the reason why when King Solomon, who is Yahushai, when he had his navy of those Hamites, I think Hiram was the one who was in control of that navy, but those are Hamites, those are heathen, and he would send, they were very good with navigating the waters and all that, the seas, right? And he would send them over here to Ophir, which Ophir is America. That's why you had that great gold rush when Christopher Colon got over here and they found out how much good gold it was over here. That you had a gold rush over here, man. Okay? But they would send them over here to the Americas, and it tells you right there that it took 1.5 years to get over here and 1.5 years to get back. Which, when you tie that into 2 Ezra 13, about 39 down to about 47, that's how long it took for the Northern Kingdom to get over here to Asaroth. I wonder if Asaroth and talk about the same place. Yes. And that's where? America. The Americas. Okay? Right? So he would send them over here. It took 1.5 years to get over here. And they would get peacocks, which most likely those peacocks is talking about turkeys, but other exotic animals, other commodities that you could only get here, right? And then they would get a lot of gold. And when they brought the gold back, it tells you right there in the scriptures that they brought King Solomon. Guess how many talents of gold they brought King Solomon? 600. Finish it for me. Finish it. 76 talents of gold. Okay, that's what you call a spiritual clue. Like the Apostle Paul said, a spiritual man judges all things, yet he himself is judge of no man. Comparing spiritual things with spiritual things. Okay, here a little and there a little. Oh, look at this spiritual clue. Okay, here you go. Put that with that. Oh, here you go. Put it all together. And then since you're a spiritual man, you're able to put it all together spiritually, right? That's a spiritual clue of what it already told you in Revelation 13. It's buy or sell. So you think you read too much into it. It says buy or sell right there. Okay? It's a spiritual clue, but I mean, it's pretty easy to see. Okay? And that's a spiritual clue telling you it has to do with money. You want another spiritual clue? Okay, I'll give you another one. I already told you I'm not going to get back in Ezekiel 38 today anyway. Another spiritual clue. Okay? That one has to do with the money, the use of it, right? Here's another one. Okay? That one right there ties into the grapho, because your central bank digital currency stablecoin or whatever it is going to be graphoed onto it. So that ties into the grapho, the fact that it's going to be used for money. Okay? Now, that's when we're going to get to it. That's your 600, your 600, 306, right? Now, here's another spiritual clue for you. This one here has to do with the injection, the charax. All right? Now, in certain ways of writing the Hebrew, okay? I believe it's the Assyrian script. Yes, it's the Assyrian script, okay? You got the sixth letter in the Assyrian script for the Hebrew. It has a numerical value associated with it, with the Paleo as well, but we're looking at the Assyrian script. If I wasn't using this phone, I would show it to you. And it has a numerical value of 6. And guess what it looks just like? It looks just like the Roman nails that was used to nail Yahushua to the cross. All right, to shed his blood, to pay for the sins of the world, the nation of Israel. Okay, how many of those Roman nails were used? Well, let me see here. He had one for the right hand, he had one for the left hand, and one for each foot. No. It wasn't one for each foot. Both feet were together. Oh, okay. One for the right hand, one for the left hand, and one for both feet. Yep. How many is that? 3. So you got 3 of these Roman nails, which looks just like the Assyrian script character in the Hebrew alphabet that has a numerical value of 6. And so you put 3 of those next to each other, and what do you got? 6, 6, 6. Okay? And what were they doing? Charaxing Yahushua, piercing him, which is what the word charax means. Showing you that 603 scoring 6, that radio frequency ID micro C to the hip, that arc of the east, put an M on the mark, and a B on the east. It's going to involve also not just money. We got that spiritual clue from King Solomon and all his gold. From this spiritual clue, we get the idea that it's going to involve something being pierced and penetrated, and the drawing of blood. See, these are all spiritual clues, right? And it all ties into what we already know from Revelation 13:16, because we study the word. We break down the words. We look the words up in the Greek, and we get the root words. Okay? And that's it. And is there anything on the world stage today that perfectly, exactly fits that? Yes. The radio frequency ID micro C to the hip. Okay? That's what they're funneling everybody into. That's what it means by, and he causeth all. Okay? He's making it so that you got no choice but to do that or die. Okay? That reminds me of a movie line. Okay? And Book of Eli. Wasn't that Book of Eli? It might have been some other movie. I think it was the Book of Eli. And he was like, give me the goddamn bag or die. Right? Or something like that, right? Yeah, he's making everybody feel like you got to do it or die. Okay? And that's why it says, it's going to say in the next verse that that's what he's going to do. He's going to seek to do to those that don't do it. Okay? Imagine the faith that's required. Let's step into a time machine for a second and just step forward. Yahweh year and change, hopefully, something like that. You know, we're going to step forward. I hear you, brother. We're going to step forward, and let's imagine that we're in that time. Okay? And it's mandatory to get it, or you're going to lose your job. And then what are you going to do? It's mandatory to get it, or it's mandatory to get it, or you can't buy and sell anything. You aren't going to be able to pay your mortgage. You aren't going to be able to keep the lights on. Don't even think about groceries. Okay? All right? You got to get it, or you ain't got it yet. Okay? Things are getting a little tight. Things are getting a little sparse. Okay? The free space, the free available space in the refrigerator is getting quite significant. Okay? Little Johnny, little Susie is looking up at you, talking about, Daddy, I'm hungry. Daddy, my stomach's growling. Daddy, can I get some nuggets or something? Okay? And you ain't got shit to feed them. Right? What are you going to do? Okay? Furthermore, you're looking around and everybody else is getting it. Everybody else, for the very most part, is getting it. And then they're doing fine. They're continuing to work. They're continuing to buy and to sell. They're continuing to go and come. But here it is, you like, I don't know if I should get it or not. And so you hold out a little bit, but how are you going to be able to hold out when everybody around, see, this is the hour of temptation. And it is nothing to be trifled with, man. Matter of fact, it is such an hour of testing that our Father Yahweh is sending that nobody can be kept from it in our own right. We all have to be kept by Yahweh Shah. That's the Revelation 3:10 again. Okay? How are you gonna make it through that without taking it? Everybody's getting it. Your whole life depends on it. The life that you built here in America, Babylon the Great. Your business is going to go under unless you get it. You take it. Okay? You ain't paying shit. No bills. No food. No groceries. No nothing. See, this is the reality that the world is staring at. Okay? And only those that the Father has foreordained to be kept by Yahushua, and we've been given the gift of faith. We're the only ones going to make it through it, and not of our own selves, not of our own strength. Yahushua Mashiach is going to keep us. See, this is really deadly serious, man. When you think about it, there is no way to get through that in any human sense. Everybody around you is getting the radio frequency ID micro C to the hip, which is the MOT to the capital B, the Revelation 13 batch for 16 to 18. Everybody's getting it. Your whole life depends on it. You can't buy food. You can't work. Your business is going to go under. Everything. You can't do nothing. You're about to be on the streets. You got children to feed, a family to take care of, everything, let alone your own needs. And the only way to continue to exist in this society, point blank, a matter of fact, and even if you don't get it, you're going to be put into a camp and unalived. But you're going to withstand that? No, that's what it's talking about when he says, and he causeth all, both small and great, free and poor, rich and bond, to receive a charagma in the right hand, meaning the primary hand, whichever hand you use the most, what hand you want it in, right? Okay, or in their forehead, which, as I've already broken down, goes into anywhere on the head when you get the Greek words, plural. There's two of them. There's the main word and there's the root word. Okay, this is nothing to be trifled with. Okay, okay, you don't get through that at all on your own. Okay, okay, nobody has any fortitude to stand through that on their own, man. Okay, it's only by the Spirit and power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, and we're being kept. We're being kept. Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua is going to crank up and amp and turn up our faith in that time, man. Okay? It's going to take some unheard of faith in order to make it through something like that, where everybody around you is doing it, and if you don't do it, it's going to cost you your life, or it could cost you your life. And if it doesn't cost you your literal life, it is costing you your metaphoric life. You can't buy, sell, work. Okay, no business, no going, no coming, no nothing, out on the streets, no ability to take care of your family, okay, and the threat of being rounded up and unalived. See, so this is why almost everybody in the planet going to take it. A lot of them are just going to take it right off the rip. Some are going to hold out a little bit because I don't know about that. I don't really want to do it. But then as those screws get turned, they're going to start to fall. Bit by bit by bit, more and more of the world population is going to take it. Okay, and ultimately, at the end of the day, you may have a few diehard so-called pagan so-called Christians that think it's they got the Bible in their hand, even though they're involved in paganism. But some of them are gonna say, no, this is exactly what it talks about in Revelation 13. I ain't taking it. Some of them may not take it, but it ain't gonna help them because they ain't got the truth. The Most High's not with them. Okay, so whether they die for it or not, I guess that the benefit of them dying for it, I think some of them may hold out, but not many of them, right? Not many of them, because they ain't really serious like that. But some of them may hold out, and the only benefit they're going to get out of that is that they avoided the lake of fire. I guess that's something, okay? Because it'd be worse to die in the lake of fire than to die by the sword. So some of them might die by the sword, some of them might die by starvation, some of them might die by cannibalism, okay? All right, because some of them are going to go off into the woods and have these communities and whatnot, and eventually their provisions are going to run out. And then what? Okay? And they're going to turn on each other, man. They're going to turn on each other. They're going to be eating each other. It's in the scriptures. Okay? So, but I guess that's better than the lake of fire. Yeah, that is better than the lake of fire. So that's the only benefit they get. They ain't get no deliverance and salvation. There's no benefit to them outside of that. Okay? But for us, the elect of the nation of Israel, that to us, that's everything, man. Okay, passing the final examination, the hour of temptation, when the radio frequency ID micro C to the hip, all right, is pushed on all the world. Revelation 3 and 10, the hour of temptation. That's what it's all about. So let's get a little bit more on this before we go over to Job, the 20th chapter, so we can start to get back into how it's all going to end right after Esau Edom, the elites of Esau Edom, that's who the he is, that's who the they is. Right after the elites of the Edomites funnel everybody into that slaughterhouse, everybody they're going to get anyway, which is most of the people on the planet, most everybody on the planet. Right after they do that, okay, all right, and they get most of the people on the planet seed to the hip, then what? We're going to answer that question, and that's all the time we're going to have for today. But let's finish this here. And that no man might buy or sell. Going right into that spiritual clue that we got with King Solomon always getting from that Hamite navy that was working for him. They brought him 606 talents of gold. Okay, that's the spiritual clue going into that 666 here we're reading about here has to do with money. Okay, and so you get that or you don't buy or sell. You don't have a business. You don't work. You don't get paid. You can't pay employees. And if you can't pay employees, they ain't working for you. Okay, so no buying or selling. Okay, and save he that had the mark. So the only ones that are going to be able to buy and sell, go and come, continue to exist in the slaughterhouse and be able to eat their slop, the only ones that are going to be able to continue to do that and convince themselves that they got a good life, which they don't, because they're about to get slaughtered. It's about to be a great sacrifice in the land of Basra. Modern day Basra is America, Babylon the Great. Isaiah the 34th chapter, right? But the ones that are going to be, and they ain't never going to be happy until that point, because Revelation 16 tells you there's going to be a noisome and grievous sore upon those that took it. Okay. Save he that had the ark, put an M on that, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name, right? Verse 18, here is wisdom, chakama in the Hebrew, chakama, wisdom. Because if you ain't got wisdom, you ain't gonna get this, man. You gotta have wisdom to get this, okay? If you don't have wisdom, this is gonna sound stupid, it's gonna sound like foolishness, it's gonna sound like the dumbest thing. You're gonna mock, you're gonna scoff, and you're gonna go off into your death. But if you have wisdom, then that wisdom is gonna cause you to hear this, and fear, and obey, and not take this. And this admonition and this exhortation is only for the nation of Israel. Okay, it don't matter, all right, for any heathen, man. I guess the only thing a heathen can get benefited is that they don't take it, which is going to be hard for them not to take it. But if they don't take it, well, they'll die before that. They'll die before the lake of fire. And I guess that's better. It is better. Lake of fire is horrible. That's the max death. That's the max punishment. Okay, there are varying degrees of severity of death. In other words, it's worse to die this way than to die that way. Okay, if you got to die, you want to die that way. That sucks too. You can't put to death. That ain't fun, right? But that's a better way to put to death than this. The scripture says, "Better is he that dieth by the sword than by famine." Okay, because the sword, even though that sucks, it's painful, it's frightful and all that, it's relatively quick. Whereas those that die by the famine, they pine away slowly, remembering all the victuals and all the wonderful things that they used to be able to eat. It's a more torturous way to die. So if you had to die one way or the other, well, you would want to choose the sword. Okay, see? And so the lake of fire, that's the worst way to die, man. All right, so I guess they get that out of it. Here is wisdom, chakama. Let him that hath understanding, bayan, understanding. Bawayan rather, bawayan. Put the wa in the middle, it makes it present tense. Bayan, understand, bawayan, understanding. Count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, right? Because the Edomite who was involved in developing the Universal Product Code, the UPC, he had 6 letters. I forget his name, but he had 6 letters in his first name, 6 letters in his middle name, and 6 letters in his last name. And that's why he put in every UPC, when he was developing the code, he put in every UPC 666. So all they have to do is take your social security number. You got to put a 0 in there somewhere. Put a 0 either in the beginning or put a 0 at the end, wherever you want, right? And then you put a 6 on the front, a 6 in the middle, and a 6 on the end, and there you go. Every micro C to the hip, every Revelation 13 badge 16 to 18, whether it's in your right hand your left hand, or your nub, or your pinky toe, or your butt cheek, or whether it's one for your head, they all have a UPC associated with it. And all they had to do was use your social security number and associated that with your MOT to the capital B and rocks you with it. And boom, there you go. There you go. You're now a product of Esau Edom, which he considers you to be right now anyway. Okay? For it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Tying back to, this is that spiritual clue again, that tying back to the amount of gold that was brought to King Solomon by Hiram's name. I believe it was Hiram, who was over it. Whatever the Hamite guy was, whatever that heathen's name was. But they would bring King Solomon 666 talents of gold. Okay? So, and that's why this is the funnel. He's pushing it. That's the reason why he's collapsing the economies of the world. Driving up, making things like food. I mean, you need food. Who needs food? Nobody needs food. Making things like food scarce. Okay, with the scarcity of fertilizer due to the Strait of Hormuz being closed, and they're threatening to close the Bab el-Mandeb Strait and other straits as well. Hey, look, the Strait of Hormuz by itself, everything's already in disarray, man. Just that one by itself. And they're already, just the Strait of Hormuz, they're already talking about this is going to fuck the economies of the world up. And it hasn't even hit yet. Don't even talk about the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Don't even talk about these other straits over here. Some of them more significant than the Strait of Hormuz. Don't even talk about those. Just the Strait of Hormuz by itself. The world economies are done. And it ain't even hit yet. If everything got better today, it's at least 6 months to a year, at least. Could be more before things start to get better. That's what they're saying. Okay? That's what they're saying. And so that's what he's pushing everybody into, with a scarcity of pharmaceuticals, which are tied to the petroleum products, the oil and LNG that comes out of that region. It goes into the chemical fertilizers. All right, it's used for that. So fertilizers are scarce and quantities are down. That means less food. And that means what? The food that is available is what? Not only is it less, it's what? Higher in price. You mean just like a wee bit? No, a hell of a lot higher. Oh, and don't forget that it's higher in price on top of the already massive inflation that we had since 2020. Okay, and I heard Bad Brad over at Full Spectrum Survival. He's the first one I've heard give an accurate representation of the inflation since 2020. He said 50 to 100. He said 52. Did he say 50 to 100 or did he say 50 to 150? Let's go with the lower of the two. 50. I think he said 50 to 100%. Okay. He said your prices at the pump and at the grocery stores has gone up 50 to, I think he said 150%. And but he might have said 100 or 125, whatever. That's correct. That's what I've noticed. That's what I've noticed. To take care of my family and take care of the monthly responsibilities, paying the bills, buying groceries, things like that, it's doubled. It's doubled. More than. Okay? So I think he did say 50 to 150%. That 50, you throw that out. Let's say 100 to 150%. Oh, so all that massive inflation that's still coming that hasn't even hit yet, that's on top of that. See, this is how he's causing all. He's making it so that you're going to look at the thing, you're going to survey the situation, you're going to look around and be like, I got to take this. If I don't take this, I can't work, I can't eat, I can't buy, I can't sell, I can't feed little Johnny, I can't feed little Susie. You know, I'm losing weight myself. I got to take it. That's the idea. That's the he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. See? That's it. And once he gets the majority of the world population to take it, then what? Job, the 20th chapter. Not the elect, though. Not us. We're being kept by Yahweh Shah Mashiach. I guess since I've been talking about that so much, let's read that in Revelation 3 and 10. Not the elect of the nation of Israel. Revelation 3 and 10. I've mentioned this multiple times. Because, who's speaking? Who's speaking? Hey, look, when you read the scriptures, make sure you know who's talking, who they're talking to. I think he's talking to me. He ain't talking to you. He ain't talking to you. Ain't nobody talking to you. I'm not talking to you. Okay? Somebody think you're talking to them, like, man, I ain't talking to you. Nobody's talking to you, man. Get out of here. And you push them on the forehead, get out of here, right? Yeah, you make sure you know who's talking, who they're talking to, and who all the pronouns are referring to. Okay? You do want to understand what you read, right? Who's talking? Yahweh Shai Hamashiach, the true name of the only begotten Son of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. Okay, this is who the world ignorantly and incorrectly, that's giving them the benefit of the doubt, because really it's not him, but that's those who are sincere and they think they're talking about the Son of God. That's who they ignorantly and incorrectly calls Jesus Christ. His true name is Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. I told you, Jesus Christ is really Tammuz, going back to the Tower of Babel. Okay, that's why if you really want to know, okay, all right, can you handle the truth? Or are you gonna be like Neo when he first heard the truth? No, and then let me out, and then he threw that shit up, right? Okay, because he couldn't handle the truth at first. He got it down, but at first he rejected it, right? Can you handle the truth? Hey, modern day Christianity is paganism. Okay, one more time. The God of let's talk about the other ones first. The Boos over there in the land, they ultimately worship Satan. Okay, which ties into Saturn. That's why they observe their Sabbath on Friday to Saturday. Goes into Saturn worship, which ties into Satan worship. Okay, whether they talking about Molech or Rumfun or whatever, that's also why they have that star. They call it the Star of David, but that's a goddamn lie. That's an occultic pagan symbol going as the Star of Rumfun. Okay, which ties back into them worshiping Satan. Okay, so they worship Satan through the worship of Saturn. All right, Muslims, they worship the moon god. That's why they have the crescent moon. Okay, and the pagan Christians, they worship the sun god, which ties back to Nimrod. Okay, and the Holy Spirit, not the true Holy Spirit, but the Holy Spirit of pagan Christianity goes back to Semiramis, and Jesus Christ, that's Tammuz. Okay, bait and switch, repackaged. All right, repackaged fresh and new for you today. All right, don't fall for it. His true name is Yahweh Shai, and he's the complete and total opposite of Jesus Christ. Now, Revelation 3:10. Because thou, Yahweh Shai speaking, he's speaking to his men. He's speaking to those that have done something. Those that have done what? Well, he's going to say it right here. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience. Because we've endured. We suffered. We've endured to the end. And we've done what he's told us to do, which is to occupy until he comes. Occupy means we're busy doing what he commanded us to do. We've occupied until he came. We've preached the word. We've been in season, out of season. We fed his sheep. We fed his lambs. If you love me, feed my sheep. You love me, feed my lambs, feed my sheep. We fed his sheep. We fed his lambs. We preached the word. We made disciples of all men of the nation of Israel. All right, to the ends of the earth, because the Israelites are scattered to the ends of the earth amongst the heathen nation. So we've done that. And that's what he means when he says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience. That's what he's talking about. And we did it to the end. That's what it means, by the way, in Revelation 14 chapter, for they are virgins. That means we're faithful to the end. It's a metaphor. We're not literally virgins. Okay? Okay? Because you've done that, I also will keep thee. So we have to be kept. And if he don't keep you, you ain't kept. I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. This is a metaphoric hour. Some of the hours you read about in the scriptures are literal. Other hours are metaphoric. Okay? You go to Revelation the 9th chapter, that's a literal hour. Okay? I'm gonna hit you with the Joker from the Batman trilogy, the Christopher Nolan one, right? The Batman said, depending on Batman asked him where what's his name? I can't remember that. I haven't watched it in a while. But the love interest, and you had Harvey Dent. He was like, where they at? And he was like, well, depending on what time, they may be in one place or in several. Like he did like that, right? Right. So that hour over in Revelation 9th chapter, that's a literal hour, right? Because it takes less than an hour for the thermonuclear missiles, hypersonic or the slow-ass ICBMs, either way, it takes less than an hour for them to get over here and destroy this place. Which that's what you see depicted right before it swallows up that AI Israelite man with 2 Peter 3:10-12 on his back. I put that there because that's what it's talking about. Okay, that's what it's talking about. Okay, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. You got to be kept. If he don't kept you, if he don't keep you, you ain't kept. If he don't keep me, I'm not kept. If he don't keep you, brothers, you ain't kept. We all have to be kept by the top shepherd, the great shepherd. Wait a minute, I heard you say that y'all shepherds too. Yeah, we are. But we're under shepherds, lesser shepherds. And we got to be kept too. Okay? Okay? The great shepherd is the shepherd of shepherds. Okay? The great savior is the savior of saviors. Okay? So we got to be shepherded. We got to be kept. We got to be saved too. Okay? But if we do what he said to do, this is the promise to keep us. I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. That's what we've been talking about this whole time. I admitted I had meant for it to be about 30 minutes, and now it was maybe 45, and now we're going to get into Ezekiel 38. But everything's subject to the Spirit. There's not any more important topics than this one. Okay? The Spirit said, dominate the lesson today with that. That's what I'm doing. Okay? Which shall come upon all the world. And if you remember, anytime you see world, you got to look behind it to see what the Greek word is. And when we look behind world here, we find that it is one of 3 words in the Greek. And I've mentioned 2 of them already earlier. I'm going to mention the third one first, which is aeon. And aeon means what? An age. A period of time. Periods begin, don't they? Yeah. And then what? They end. Right. They start, they begin, and then they end. Right? Yes. Okay? All right. So age, period of time. Maybe you can say a kingdom. Okay? That's what aeon's talking about. It's been translated to world. You'll find that in Hebrews, first chapter. I want to say the first verse, maybe the second verse. Okay? There you'll find world, and you look behind it, it's aeon. That's not here. And then the other word is cosmos. That's the one you'll find behind the word world in John 3:16. And it's talking again about an apt and harmonious arrangement, order, constitution, government. Singular, just one. And by the way, the word world in the English is used in all these ways. That's the reason why they translated all these different words to world in English. Okay? But whereas in the English, when you're talking to somebody, the context of the conversation you have makes it clear which of the meanings it's talking about. Oh man, I went home, man, and I was in my world. Man. And so you understand they ain't talking about the whole planet. You understand they ain't talking about an age or kingdom. You understand they talking about an apt and harmonious arrangement, an order, a constitution. Okay? It says government next, but not all those apply. It's as applicable, right? So you understand that. But here you see world, and you don't even think that it could be talking about completely and totally different things. And you don't look. Okay? The world of John 3:16 is only talking about the government, the apt and harmonious arrangement of Israel. Okay? So that's cosmos. Salvation is only for Israel. And if you think you see something in the scripture that says otherwise, ye err, not knowing the scriptures. You don't know what you're talking about, man. Okay? All right? Pray, fast, continue to listen and learn from the true men of the Lord, the prophets. All right? And maybe, if the Most High gives you ears to hear and understand it, you'll get the true understanding. Okay? Yahweh Razah be counted amongst those men. Yahweh Razah I am, and I do hope, trust, and believe that I am. Yahweh Razah, right? So you keep learning and listening from the true prophets, the true teachers, the true pastors, true preachers, true prophets, true apostles, and you may get the understanding. Fast, pray, study. Okay? Otherwise, the Most High don't want you to understand. That's why you think the truth is wrong, and you think a lie is the truth. Okay? Because the Most High don't want you to understand. The Most High always gets what he wants. You do know that, right? You do know that the Most High always gets, he's sovereign. Right? If you don't get it, he don't want you to get it. You do know that, right? Well, why would he know when we get it? Because he want to kill you. He wants to destroy you. Oh, he loves everybody. No, he don't. People don't know, man. Okay? I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. Where'd you get that from? I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. Oh, he's only talking about Israel, man. I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. And even with that, only the elect of Israel right now. Not even all of Israel right now. It's important to say that because ultimately, yes, all of Israel. Okay? I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. That's what we've been talking about. Which shall come upon all the world, oikomene. That's the Greek word that means the whole planet, everybody on it. Oikomene. That's what you'll find here. Okay? You got to look, man. In case you're lazy, well, the context makes it clear. Let's read the rest of the verse. Don't be lazy, though. Okay? Which shall come upon all the world, I think God knows, to try them that dwell upon the earth. So the context makes it clear. Okay? Look the word up anyway. So now, what's going to happen when he gets to the point where just about everybody on the planet practically is seed to the hip? Everybody's in the slaughterhouse, been passed through. Now they're out in the GMO, chemical, herbicide, pesticide sprayed field, eating all manner of abominable stuff, and they think they happy, and he can now slaughter them at will. What happens when he gets just about all the world population through there? Now he can slaughter at will. Then what? Revelation. Job, the 20th chapter. Man, I'm going on. Job, the 20th chapter. It's a good question. I'm glad you asked. Let's answer it now. Job, the 20th chapter. I'm going to get about 4 or 5 verses. And I'm going to wrap it. I'm going to try to make this quick, though. I was supposed to stop 15 minutes ago. Hey, man, look. Everything takes a back seat to feeding the lambs and feeding the sheep, man. And, you know, quench not the spirit, man. Okay? I got a timetable I like to be on, but it ain't up to me. Is it all right if I could get done this amount of time? No. Okay. Hey, so Job, the 20th chapter. Let's get 23 down to 26. 23 to 26, four verses. Okay? All right, 23 to 26. This is how it's going to end. This is where it's all going. And all the warring, all the economic woes, all the geopolitical mess that's going on in the world today, it's all intentional. It's all for the intents and purposes of leveraging the control that's been given to them by the Most High. You know that because it's Job 9:24 and Daniel 4:17. They're leveraging the control to funnel the whole world into a slaughterhouse, but that slaughterhouse is for the purposes of sea-hipping everybody. That's the our temptation. And then they can slaughter at will. And then when they get just about everybody on the planet sea to the hip, then that's when this occurs. Job 20:23. When he is about to fill his belly, meaning now he's about done. All right. Hey, practically the whole world. You got a few scragglers, but come on, we're gonna take care of them. All right. And those that don't get down with it, we're gonna get rid of them, right? Hey, now that just about everybody's got it, now it's time for us to sit down and gorge ourselves. Feast at will. Enjoy the fruits of our labor, which is absolute, complete, and total control. Because they already got rulership of the world. They already got the rulers. They already have more than heart could wish for. They already got more than they could ever enjoy. They got more than they could ever feast on. I'm talking metaphorically. They already got more than they could ever. They would need multiple lifetimes, and they still couldn't enjoy everything they got. But they want absolute, complete, and total control. Going back to Esau in Genesis 27th chapter, wanting to get his birthright, his blessing rather. He didn't give a damn about birthright. He wanted to get his blessing back, which the two of those are tied together. Okay. So now that he's got everybody through there, for the most part, through scragglers, but he's gonna to get rid of them, right? And now he's gonna sit down and enjoy himself. And our Father Yahweh says, when he's about to fill his belly, he putting his bib on and everything, sitting down to the table, scooting it up, grabbing his fork or spoon or whatever, and getting that first morsel to enjoy himself. And his Novus Ordo Seclorum, about to put it to his mouth, then what? Okay? When he's about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him. That's what. Okay? Meaning, the Most High is going to, right when he's about to put it out, you know how it is. You ever been like, you got your favorite ice cream cone, and you about to take that first lick, and as soon as you're about to take it, it falls off onto the floor, onto the ground, and you're like, damn. And you be hurt, right? You be hurt. Or, you about to take a bite of something, man, this is good. And then right when you're about to bite it, it dribbles down onto the floor, and you're like, damn, But fortunately, you have more, so you eat, right? But if you don't, that you hurting, right? Most High gonna knock it out his hand. Most High gonna basically just slap his whole bottom jaw off, knock it out of his hand, slap his whole bottom jaw off, and his whole bottom jaw, his tongue, his hand, the fork, the food, everything is gonna go sliding down the floor. Okay? He ain't gonna get to enjoy it. Okay? He's gonna get it just about done. Yes. And right when he's getting ready to enjoy it, the Most High gonna destroy him. That's what. And what manner is the destruction gonna be? Look at the thumbnail. Okay? When he's about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him. Amos 1 and 12. You want to know why? Amos 1 and 11. And shall rain, keyword rain, it upon him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon. Iron weapon? A sword, spear, lance. Maybe? Well, let's keep reading. Let's see if we can find some clues. Look at that thumbnail and tell me if you think of a literal iron weapon. Well, it is a literal iron weapon. But tell me if you think about something like that, what I just mentioned, when you see that thumbnail. Okay? He shall flee from the iron weapon. Revelation the 6th chapter. And the bow of steel, 2nd Ezra 16, shall strike him through. Is he gonna survive? It is drawn. Oh man, I guess you got to take it out to kind of patch it up, right? Maybe he's gonna survive. And cometh out of the body. Yeah, I know it sounds painful, but he still might make it, right? Yea, the glistening sword. Oh wait a minute, I thought it was a bow and arrow. It's a metaphor, man. It didn't transform from a sword and a bow to from an arrow and a bow to a sword. Now, these are all metaphors. Yea, the glistening sword cometh out of his gall. The gall goes into vital organs like a liver. Oh, probably not gonna survive that. Terrors are upon him. Terrors are upon him. Verse 26. Wait a minute. Did I skip him? I got to the end too quick. Sorry, we got some more precepts to get. All darkness shall be hid. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me see here. Yeah, let's read this, then we'll get this precept. All darkness shall be hid in its secret places. Check this out. Tell me what type of fire this is. A fire not blown shall consume him. What type of fire do you not have to blow? You should know, man. I already told you. Thermonuclear missiles, ICBMs, hypersonics. That's what the metaphoric arrows are. The bow is a metaphor for the launch platforms, whatever launch platform you want. Okay, the sword, that's also talking about the missiles. Because when they fly through the sky, it looks like a flying sword with no sheath, no handguard, just the sword, just the metal blade part flying through the sky. That's what they say. Look, it's a flying sword. When the prophets saw the visions, they said it's a flying sword. What do you expect them to call it, man? Okay, they spoke in metaphors. They didn't know what it was. Okay? Yea, all darkness shall be hidden in secret places. A fire not blown. That's the thermonuclear fire. You don't need no oxygen for that fire. That fire, I want to say this, it's not tech. It brings its own oxygen, right? In other words, you don't need no oxygen. Matter of fact, it's going to melt the oxygen. Because according to that 2 Peter 3, 10 through 12, it melts the very elements that make up the physical realm. It's melting the elements on the periodic table. That's why the Apostle Peter refers to it as fervent heat. This is no regular heat. This is no regular fire. A regular fire, you better blow on it. It might go out. Give me that bellows over there. All right, somebody stay on it now. Don't let it go out. Needs that oxygen, not this fire. Thermonuclear fire. Matter of fact, the oxygen in the atmosphere melted. Okay, oxygen in the atmosphere, the oxygen is made up of elements, man. This is melting the elements, including the oxygen. Okay? This don't need no oxygen. Okay? Fire needs what? Three things. Three things. Oxygen, not this one. Fuel. Oh yeah, you need that. And what else? Heat. You need that too. Okay. Don't need oxygen for this one though. Okay. What about heat? Well, temperatures comparable to the sun. I think you're good. That's some hella heat right there. Yep. Apostle Peter again. Fervent heat. Ain't gotta worry about the heat. Temperatures comparable to the sun. Ain't gotta worry about that. Okay. What's the last thing you need? Fuel. Plenty of fuel. Everything you see. Look around you. Everything you see. Plenty of fuel. It's gonna burn for a long time. But eventually what? Matter of fact, it's gonna burn for a long time, so we can call it what? Everlasting. That's what the word everlasting means. Have you ever looked it up? It doesn't always mean forever, for all eternity. As a matter of fact, forever. Forever doesn't always mean forever. Okay? It means for a long time. It can mean for all eternity, but not always. That's why they had the battery called the Everlast battery. Does it last forever? They call it the Everlast battery. False advertising. Okay? Everybody understands it just means it's supposed to, at least. Might not even, but it's supposed to last a long time. Right. So you can call it everlasting? Yep, you can. That is one of the meanings of the word everlasting. But it ain't everlasting. Well, that's one of the meanings of the word. Okay? Right? But eventually what? It's going to go out. Because of what? Lack of heat. No, man, that heat. See, man. Lack of fuel. Eventually everything here will be melted. And once it is, it's going to start to go out. Okay? That's what's going to happen once he gets the vast majority of the world population through his sea-hipping slaughterhouse. All darkness shall be hidden in secret places. A fire not blown shall consume him. See? That's what it's talking about in Amos 1 and 11. That's what it's talking about in Matthew 24 and 51. Is that right? We'll go there real quick. Yes. No. Matthew 25 and 40. Yes. Then shall he say unto them on the left hand, depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire. It's important to look the words up, man. And that's why I was telling you that the word everlasting, I think when you look it up here, it's a word that comes from, that means a period of time, okay? Or an age, okay? So you got to look at the root word, right? Okay? But that's what it means. It's talking about a fire that lasts for a long time, not for all eternity. Okay? Oh yeah, I did all eternity. What are you talking about, Willis? Well, look, when you get the precepts right, man, come on, man. When you get the precepts right, okay? Because you got to get the precepts. Two precepts to get an understanding. Therefore, I hate every false way. You don't get the precepts, man. You're not going to have an understanding. Meaning what? You're going to love falsehood. You're going to love lies. You're going to love false doctrines. You're going to love damnable heresies. So when you get the precepts and you read about this same destruction, it talks later about the place being a desert. It talks later about the place being filled with unclean creatures. Man, those unclean creatures must be fireproof. No, man, the fire went out eventually, I told you. Okay? Where were we? Understand it, man. Get it. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Matthew 25 and 41. Okay? Then shall he say unto them on the left hand, depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire. This is talking about the thermonuclear destruction. Okay? The thermonuclear destruction, which is going to last, is going to burn for a long time. There's a lot of fuel over here. But eventually it will go out. And this place will be a desert, just like it says in Isaiah 13 at the end of the chapter. Isaiah 34 gets into it there too. And also Revelation 18. Okay? Multiple places. I think there's also one other place where it says it. Okay? I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But I think it's at least one more place where it talks about this place being a desert once the fire eventually goes out. Because it's everlasting, meaning for a long time. And did you know that everlasting doesn't even necessarily mean for a long time? Everlasting, when you look the word up, it can literally just mean any period of time that you think is long. Okay? All right? You know, you thought it was supposed to take 5 minutes, it took 10 minutes. Man, this is everlasting. Yeah, it can mean that too. That's per the definition. Okay? You got to understand the meaning of words. Otherwise, some false preacher is going to run game on you and get you to short. Okay? Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil. Diabolos. Look at the word. And it's got two definitions. Neither one of them has any connotation or inkling that it has anything to do with spiritual beings. One of them, point blank period, tells you it's talking about flesh and blood men. The other one is just a generic definition, but when you read it, it's like, well, that's things that men do. Right, okay? Now, you can use it for spiritual demons, but, it's talking about flesh and blood men, okay? The devil here is the Edomites, okay? Prepare for the devil, look the word up, and his angels. The word angel goes into, the word angel and messengers are synonyms, means the same thing. People see the word angel, and again, they think it's always talking about a spiritual being. Hey, a lot of times it is, but not always. King David was likened unto an angel, okay? The prophet Malachi, his name in the Hebrew is Malachiah, and it literally means messenger of God. You know another way you can say it? And it's the same. It's an equal angel of God, okay? Okay? Angel, messenger, angel. Same thing. Can be spiritual, could be flesh and blood. These are those that are working for Esau, Edom. Okay? So the thermonuclear destruction is prepared for the Edomites and those that are joined unto them, going back to Isaiah 13 again, and all that are joined unto them shall be pierced through with the sword. That's all manner of violent death leading up to the ultimate sword, which is flying through the sky. My sword shall be bathed in heaven, Isaiah 34 again, and shall come down upon Idumea. Remember I told you it's a Greek way of saying Esau, Edom? Right, that's what it's talking about. Those that are working for him, those that are with him. Okay, well, even don't matter if they Edomites or not. You with them. Guilty by association, right? So let's get a little bit more here. Let's go to Jeremiah 50. I was going to go to Isaiah 34 as well, but I'm way over. So let's just get one. Jeremiah 50 and I think 25. I'm having fun, aren't you? Well, I like to have more fun, but I've been out of time. So, I guess I have to wrap it up here. All right. Jeremiah 50 and I think 25. Let's see if I remember correctly. Yes. Our Father Yahweh, Abanawa Yahweh, has an armory, man. And you do know the scripture says that our Father Yahweh, he says he's a man of war. Okay? And he has an armory, and in his armory, he's got all kinds of weapons, man, the best weapons. Okay? He's got swords, multiple different kinds of swords, actually. Okay? Multiple different kinds of swords. Broad sword, long sword, short sword, I don't know, other kinds of swords too, right? Right? Esau Edom is one of his swords. Find that in the book of Psalms. Okay? He's got a battle axe. Ooh, man, that sounds vicious. Yeah, it is. It is. Battle axe. Okay, well, you told me that Esau Edom was a sword. Well, who's the battle axe? That's us. That's us, man. You're going to fuck everything up with the battle axe. That's us. In the kingdom of heaven. After we change. Early. Kingdom of heaven. After we come back down off the chariots, with Yahweh Shai and our glorified bodies, okay? We're his battle axe. That ain't in the Bible. Well, you can read Zechariah 12 and 8. You can read 1 John 3, 1 and 2. But if you really want to read about that specifically, because those are precepts, that's giving you, that's filling out the picture, right? You want to read about specifically where he literally calls his battle axe, you're going to go to Jeremiah, the 51st chapter. I'm out of time, man. It's really one chapter over. There it is. Boom, it's right there, okay? Jeremiah 51. Start at like 19 and go down to like 23 at least. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you got a queasy stomach, you don't want to read that. It's a whole lot of breaking in pieces going on there, man, okay? All right? And he calls us his battle axe there, man. That's us, okay? But we didn't come for that. He has a special kind of sword, okay? And he's going to call it something else here. You already know what sword we're talking about, but he's going to call it something else here. Jeremiah 50 and 25. Yahweh hath opened his armory. It's a man of war. And you don't want to be his enemy. And hath brought forth the weapons. That's an S. It's a lot of them. How many? 200 million. Of his indignation. What are the weapons of his indignation for? You already know. Okay, we just read it in Matthew 25 and 41. Fine. We'll get you another precept. Okay, you want to know. Who's the weapons of his indignation for? Matching, man. Matching. Beach ball to beach ball. Tricycle to tricycle. Car to car. Okay? All right? Bike to bike. Weapons of indignation too. Malachi 1 and 4. Whereas Edom saith we are impoverished. But who? Edom. Esau, Edom. But we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, they shall build. You're living in it. Remember the breakdown of Revelation, the 13th chapter, the top, the deadly wound that's healed. This is it all over again. The revived Roman Empire. If you didn't catch that, go back to the beginning. They shall build, but I will throw down. Yeah, that's what we're getting into. How he's going to throw it down. And they shall call them who? Esau, Edom. Whereas Edom, the Edomites, Esau, bloodline descendants, through their fathers, bloodline. That's the them. Esau, Edom, so-called white man, generally speaking. Generally speaking. Whether they look like that or not, but that's usually how they look like. The Edomites, bloodline descendants of Esau, that's the them. Okay? And they shall call them, now you know who, we're going to call them the border of wickedness, meaning as far as their borders advance, wickedness advances. As far as their borders are pushed back, wickedness is pushed back. Because they're the wicked. Why else would that be the case? Why would you call them the border of wickedness and you push back their borders, wickedness is pushed back, their borders advance, damn, the Edomites are strong today, okay? Wickedness advances with them. They have to be the wicked. Otherwise, that makes no sense. But it makes perfect sense because they are indeed the wicked. But that ain't what we came for. Where was I? Here we go. And they shall call them the Edomites, bloodline descendants through their fathers of Esau, Edom. Edomites, so-called white man, generally speaking, whether they look like that or not. Usually, that's how they look. Not always. Bloodlines, man. They shall call them the border of wickedness. And what else? Are we going to call them something else? Yep, we're going to call them something else. What else are we going to call the Edomites? What else are we going to call the so-called white man, generally speaking? The border. Slacky, I already read that. Damn it, I messed up my dramatic pause. All right, anyway. And the people against whom Yahweh hath, what do they say? Wait for it. Indignation. Wait a minute. We just read that somewhere. Yes. And the people against whom Yahweh, you call them God, hath indignation forever. Well, damn, Ra'ab, I'm sure I'm glad, says the Edomites, that forever don't mean forever. It does in this case. It does in this case. I said it doesn't always mean forever. It does in this case. Okay? So there's a people, biblical Edomites, against whom Yahweh has, our Father Yahweh says to call them the people of his indignation. So-called white man, generally speaking, forever. Now, let's go back to Jeremiah and let's see if we can figure out what to do with this beach ball. We turned over a car that has a beach ball on it. What should I do with this beach ball? Oh, look at that. There's another beach ball. Right. Beach ball to beach ball, baby. It's that simple. Okay? The weapons of his indignation are for the people of his indignation. Who the hell do you think they for? The devil and his angels. Okay, get lost. All right, where was he? Where were we? Yahweh had opened his armory and had brought forth the weapons of his indignation. Who are the weapons of his indignation for? The people of his indignation. Okay? This is all going into the destruction of America. America? Oh, you're right. Babylon the Great. Okay? But that's America, man. Babylon the Great. Okay? Who's in control of America, Babylon the Great? 137th Psalm. Esau, Edom. Well, I mean, it's all throughout here. Okay? You got to understand. You got to know the code. Okay? You got to understand the metaphor. You got to understand the biblical prophecy. Okay? Okay? You should be saying, well, how can I? Which is the answer, which is the question that the Ethiopian asked Stephen. How can I understand it? Well, he was talking to an Israelite, number one. Okay? That Ethiopian was no literal Ethiopian. He was an Israelite that was coming from the land of Ethiopia. He was serving, I want to say he was serving the queen over there, but he was an Israelite by lineage, by heritage, by bloodline, by birth. So when he came over, he was called an Ethiopian, but he was an Israelite. The only way to understand the scriptures like this is to first be an Israelite by lineage, by heritage, by bloodline, by birth, like it or not. Then second, okay, the Holy Spirit has been dealing with you. Let me put it another way. You're of the elect of the nation of Israel. Meaning our Father Yahweh has given you ears to hear and eyes to see. He's given you the gift of faith because he hasn't given it to all of the nation. So first box, you're an Israelite by bloodline, through your fathers. Second box, you got to check, the Holy Spirit's dealing with you. Third box, you got to check, you have the right teachers, because we already talked about the false teachers. They're going to lead you into a ditch, all right? And they're going to jump in behind you, and then y'all both going to be destroyed. So you got the right teachers. Fourth box, study to show yourself approved, a workman that need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. You can't just sit at the table with your two bottom teeth showing with your mouth open. Okay, yeah, you're going to sit at the table and get fed, but you got to make sure you chewing the food. Okay, you do a little digging yourself, you do a little studying yourself, you put it all together, you take notes, you review the notes. You know, maybe while you're reviewing the notes, you come up with some good questions, you come back with the questions, you ask the questions, now you're learning even more. See, that you check all four of those boxes, that's all. Okay, Jeremiah 50:25 again. Yahweh has opened his armory and has brought forth the weapons of his indignation, for this is the work of an Adawan Yahweh of hosts in the land of the who? Chaldeans. Wait a minute, I thought you said it was America. I told you, you have to understand the prophecies, okay? And you have to know our Father, okay? You should know he don't like to talk the same way all the time. He don't like to refer to a group of people by the same name all the time. He refers to them by various different names. We talking about one group, okay? These Chaldeans are the Americans, are the Edomites, is Babylon Great, America, Babylon the Great. It's all talking about America, Babylon the Great. Okay? And so once he gets everybody through that sea-hipping slaughterhouse and out into the GMO, pesticide, chemical-laden abomination of a field where he can now slaughter at will, because that's what he's going to do. Okay, once he does that, and he's about to sit down and enjoy himself, what you see on the thumbnail. Okay, thermonuclear destruction, which is the second death, which is how all of this is going to end. That's why the title is How All of This is Going to End Very Soon, very soon, very soon. Matter of months, we believe. It is a matter of months. Okay. You can still get some years, okay? But it's going to be so few years that it's more feasible to measure, practical to measure it in months, okay? Okay? And you get a more accurate measurement that way. Do we know exactly how many months? No. But this is how it's all going to end very, very soon. So you should be asking that very important question. What must I do to be saved? Okay? And salvation is only for Israel. And I'm going to give you the answer in a nutshell. Believe this gospel, all right? Which, this gospel that I'm preaching, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, which has, if you believe it, and you're only going to believe it if the Father has given it to you to believe it. If he hasn't given it to you to believe it, you can't believe it. Okay? Why do you not understand my words? It is even because you cannot understand my words. John, the 8th chapter, around like the 42nd, 43rd verse. Yeah, go read that. Okay? So you believe it, which has the power to save your souls, if you believe it. Okay? Call on the names of Yahweh. That's the true name of the Father. You ain't getting salvation without calling on him, and you ain't getting it if you call on him directly. You got to call on Yahweh through or in the name of his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai Mashiach. You got to use these names. No substitutes, no alterations, no anything, no bullshit. Okay? Proverbs 18:10, Acts 4:12. You got it. Those are the names. None others. Nothing more. Nothing less. No alterating. No tinkering. No nothing. Yahweh in the name of. That's the Bahashem. Yahweh Shai in the name of Yahweh Shai. Because Yahweh Shai is the way, the truth, the life. No man cometh unto the Father. That's how you're going to get life. That's read John 17:3. Okay. And this is life eternal. Who said that? Yahweh Shai. Okay. Yahweh Shai, who is the truth, said that life eternal is to know the Father and the Son. Because you ain't getting to the Father, you ain't knowing the Father without knowing the Son. Okay? Not because they're the same, but because the Son is the way back to the Father. He's the way, the truth, and the life. He's the door. You got to go through the door to get back to the Father. The Father is on the other side of the door. Go through the Son. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry. And you perish from the way. When his wrath is kindled but a little. Okay? So, you believe this gospel, which has the power to save your souls. You call on the true names, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai. Okay? And you bring forth fruits meet for repentance. Why do I do that? Well, you ain't got to do nothing. Okay? If you really believe, that means the Father's giving you faith. And if you have faith, he's giving you faith, you're going to believe. And if you believe, you're going to fear. I mean, you're going to hear about what these things we're talking about, and you're going to be like, oh, I ain't got nothing to worry about. No, you're going to fear. If you have faith, you're going to believe it. If you believe it, you're going to fear. If you fear, you're going to be motivated and moved to act, and that is obedience. That's your righteous works. Boom. Keep doing that to the end, you're good. Okay? And like I said, this is only for Israel, obviously. Okay? Obviously. I already made that abundantly clear. Okay? You got in this Bible, I don't feel like stopping. You got in this Bible, I gotta stop. You got in this Bible, I'm gonna wrap it up here. You got in this Bible, you got 4 books that you can just painfully make it obvious that it's only written to Israelites. 4 books that are painfully, obviously only written to Israelites. The book of Hebrews, yeah, that's what was one. The book of James to the 12 tribes, okay? Only the 12 tribes, they ain't writing to nobody else. And that's 2. And then 1 Peter and 2 Peter to the strangers scattered abroad. And he tells you where they're scattered. You go back to Acts the 2nd chapter, you can link those places right up to those places, and you'll find out when you read in Acts the 2nd chapter that they were all Israelites. It says that other word, Judeans. Let's use the word it should be, Judean. They're all Judeans scattered amongst the various nations of the world. Those are the same strangers that the Apostle Peter was writing to. All Israelites, because it's right there in the heading. It's right there in the beginning. Okay, so 4 books are painfully, obviously only written to Israelites. What any natural born heathen have doing reading those books? All right, well, fine. I just won't read those then. Does it make any sense that 4 books in the Bible would obviously and painfully, obviously, be only written to Israelites, but the rest of the book is for whoever? You know it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Okay? If you're a natural born heathen, put our book down and just get the fuck out of here. Okay? Go enjoy whatever you can enjoy for the fleeting moments. Salvation is only for Israel. This is the truth, whether you like it or not. All right? This is our book, written under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit by us, about us, and for us. All right? And our Father Yahweh is getting ready to give this whole world as a ransom for his elect. Okay, which are all Israelites. And that's why everything that's going on planet Earth right now is going on. Okay, our Father Yahweh is indeed visiting this world, which he made. And so with that, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Before I do, the one in the fun called the Pa'araf, Hawad Wahaloyim, Rabatum Yatla, Allah Hayanoah, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shabbat, Racha HaKudash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and respect to the brothers teaching the Christian truth, Dr. Falconers of the earth. Adawan Radazah. This lesson was edifying and encouraging to the Achim and the Achwa that may be listening and or watching. Ayashmi Akunah, Azanim Lashemai Shemai. Okay? Let him that has ears to hear. Kwam Yasharala, Baba Kosha, Abad, Bapa, Aitha, Wakal Adawam. Shalom Lahabacharium, peace to the elect, Ahabatham to you all. All right, and Yawam to all, Layala to all that's applicable. All right, may Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shamar Natham Batak. May the Heavenly Father Yahweh in the name of Yahweh keep you all safe. Wa Nathan Lanawa, La Ra'ah, Hawashai, Shal, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Mahar, and give to us to see the deliverance and salvation of our Father in the name of Yahweh speedily and soon, very soon. Okay? Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Barakah Kodash Barakatam to you all. Ahabatam, Shalom. See the precepts you're putting up, brother. All right, now see the brother here, chosen Yahya Shah. Hey, shalom to you, Malak. Glad you could join us over and you were edified. All right, and so yeah. All right, Yahweh Radazah, you all were edified and well fed. All right, stay faithful to the end. Shalom.